Benjamin Thompson's knees hit the cold metal floor of the Gorn battleship Sarax with a dull thud. His heart raced, not from fear, but from a long suppressed excitement he could no longer hide. "I said, get on your knees, human!" Lita, the towering Gorn officer, hissed. Her iridescent scales gleamed under the harsh light of her private quarters. Yellow eyes narrowed in suspicion. Benjamin's breath caught in his throat as he looked up at the 7-foot-tall reptilian alien. The last-ditch peace negotiations between humans and Gorn had crumbled, leaving him, a diplomat-turned-suspected spy, at the mercy of the ship's second-in-command. Lita's clawed hand gripped a datapad, evidence of alleged human espionage flickering on its screen. "You will submit to a search," she growled, looming over the kneeling human. The tension in the room thickened, a palpable force pressing down on both occupants. Outside, the crew of the Sarax grew restless. Whispers of the human diplomat's treachery spread through the ship like wildfire, igniting calls for his immediate arrest, or worse, execution. Benjamin's mind raced. He knew the stakes, the fate of human-Gorn relations balanced on a knife's edge. Decades of Cold War had led to this moment. His mission, a final attempt at peace, now teetered on the brink of catastrophic failure. But as Lita's piercing gaze bore into him, Benjamin felt a rush of something else entirely. His long-held fascination with dominant alien females, particularly Gorn, surged to the surface. His body betrayed him, responding visibly to Lita's commanding presence. Lita's eyes widened, her reptilian features contorting in surprise. The sudden shift in the room's atmosphere was electric. The power dynamic between them, once clear-cut, now blurred into uncertainty. Time seemed to freeze as Lita processed the human's unexpected reaction. Her claws flexed, indecision written across her scaled visage. The datapad in her hand trembled slightly, its damning evidence momentarily forgotten. Benjamin remained motionless, acutely aware of his compromising position. His diplomatic training warred with his personal desires, each heartbeat an eternity as he waited for Lita's next move. Suddenly, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "Second in command," the captain's gravelly voice filled the room. "You have 1 hour to extract information from the human. After that, I'm taking matters into my own claws." The ultimatum hung in the air, ratcheting up the already intense atmosphere. Lita's yellow eyes darted between Benjamin and the door, weighing her options. Benjamin swallowed hard, his mind racing. Could his revealed desires be the key to salvaging the situation? Or would they doom not only himself, but potentially all of humanity? As Lita took a step closer, her scales shimmering with each movement, Benjamin braced himself. The next moments would determine the course of interstellar politics, and perhaps satisfy years of secret longing. The fate of two species now rested on the outcome of this unexpected encounter, a dangerous dance of attraction, suspicion, and high-stakes diplomacy about to unfold in the confines of a Gorn battleship. Benjamin's heart thundered in his chest as he gazed up at Lita, his mind racing. In a split second, he made a decision that would alter the course of human-Gorn relations forever. "Wait," he said, his voice steadier than he felt. "Before you proceed, there's something you need to know." Lita's yellow eyes narrowed, her scaled hand pausing mid-reach. "Speak, human," she hissed. Benjamin took a deep breath. "There's a human outpost on the edge of Gorn territory. We've been monitoring your activities for months." The effect was immediate. Lita's eyes widened, her reptilian features contorting in shock. "Impossible," she growled, but uncertainty crept into her voice. "It's true," Benjamin pressed on. "Our technological capabilities far exceed what you've assumed. This outpost is just the tip of the iceberg." Lita's claws flexed as she processed this information. Her gaze darted between Benjamin and the datapad, reassessing the situation. The human's earlier physical response to her dominance still lingered in her mind, adding another layer of complexity to the moment. After a tense silence, Lita spoke. "This changes things, but I need more than just your word, human." "I understand," Benjamin replied, a plan forming in his mind. "I propose a deal. I'll provide you with more details about our operations in exchange for your protection from the crew outside." Lita's tongue flicked out, tasting the air. An interesting proposition, she said, her voice low. But how can I trust you? You can't. Not entirely, Benjamin admitted. But this information is too valuable to ignore. And I think you're curious about more than just our military capabilities. A flicker of something passed through Lita's eyes. She took a step closer, looming over Benjamin. You're perceptive, human. Perhaps too perceptive for your own good. Without warning, Lita's hand shot out, grasping Benjamin's arm. He gasped as her cool, scaled fingers explored his skin. Your earlier reaction, it intrigues me, she said, her voice taking on a new tone. I wonder how much we could learn about human physiology through more thorough examination. Benjamin's breath caught in his throat as Lita's other hand traced the contours of his face. I thought you wanted information about our outpost, he managed to say. Oh, I do, Lita replied, her yellow eyes gleaming. But I see no reason we can't pursue multiple lines of inquiry simultaneously. As Lita's exploration became more intimate, Benjamin found himself responding despite the gravity of the situation. Years of secret fantasies about dominant alien females, particularly Gorn, came rushing to the surface. Unbeknownst to the pair, events were unfolding rapidly beyond the confines of Lita's quarters. On the bridge of the Siserax, Captain Gornax paced restlessly, his claws clicking against the metal floor. It's been too long, he growled to his first officer. Lita should have extracted information from the human by now. The first officer nodded gravely. Perhaps she has been compromised, Captain. Gornax's eyes narrowed. Prepare a security team. We're going in. As the security team assembled outside Lita's quarters, Benjamin and Lita remained oblivious to the approaching danger. Their interaction had evolved into something neither had anticipated, transcending the boundaries of species and duty. Lita's scales shimmered as she pressed Benjamin against the wall, her powerful form dwarfing his. Tell me about your outpost, she demanded, her voice husky. Benjamin gasped, torn between desire and duty. It's cloaked with technology reverse-engineered from a crashed Zygon ship, he revealed, the words tumbling out between ragged breaths. Lita's eyes widened at this revelation, but before she could respond, a loud bang echoed through the room. The door shuddered as something heavy slammed against it from the outside. Second in command, Gornax's voice boomed. Open this door immediately. Lita froze, her gaze locking with Benjamin's. In that moment, the weight of their choices crashed down upon them. The fate of their respective species hung in the balance, their unexpected connection now threatened by the harsh reality of their situation. As the pounding on the door intensified, Lita stepped back, her expression unreadable. Benjamin straightened up, his mind racing to find a way out of this predicament. What now? He asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Lita's tongue flicked out, tasting the tension in the air. Now, she said, her voice low and intense, we make a choice that will shape the future of both our kinds. The door shuddered again, the locking mechanism beginning to give way. Time was running out, and Lita found herself torn between her duty to her species and the unexpected connection she had formed with the human diplomat. As Gornax and his security team prepared for one final push to breach the door, Benjamin and Lita stood at the precipice of a decision that would alter the course of interstellar relations forever. As the pounding on the door intensified, Benjamin's hand moved swiftly to his diplomatic badge. With a subtle press, he activated a hidden device concealed within. The effect was immediate and dramatic. The ship's internal communication system erupted into chaos. Gornax's voice, mid-command, dissolved into a garbled mess of static and interference. The pounding on the door ceased abruptly, replaced by confused shouts from the security team outside. Lita's eyes widened, her gaze snapping from the door to Benjamin. What did you do? She hissed, a mixture of surprise and admiration in her voice. Bought us some time, Benjamin replied, his heart racing, but not much. Impressed by the human's resourcefulness, Lita made a split-second decision. Her clawed fingers flew over the control panel near her bed, inputting a rapid sequence of command codes. The ship's computer chirped in acknowledgement, and a low, resonant hum filled the air. Ship-wide lockdown initiated, a synthetic voice announced. All sections isolated. Benjamin raised an eyebrow. You've trapped them out there. And us in here, Lita added, her yellow eyes gleaming with newfound respect. Now, human, I believe it's time for a more thorough exchange of information. The tension in the room shifted, the immediate threat neutralized, but the stakes higher than ever. Benjamin straightened, meeting Lita's gaze. I'll start, he said, his voice steady. That outpost I mentioned? It's protected by more than just location. We've developed advanced cloaking systems, reverse-engineered from Zygon technology, but improved upon. Your sensors can't detect it because, to them, it simply doesn't exist. Lita's tongue flicked out, tasting the truth in his words. Impressive, she admitted, but how do you defend against attacks you can't see coming? A small smile played at the corners of Benjamin's mouth. We don't need to. We've also developed non-lethal weapons specifically designed to incapacitate Gorn physiology. One shot, and a Gorn warrior is down for hours, unharmed but completely immobilized. Lita's scales rippled, a sign of both concern and intrigue. She stepped closer to Benjamin, her towering form casting a shadow over him. Very well, human. You've proven your worth. Now allow me to reciprocate. Over the next few minutes, Lita revealed key information about Gorn military strategies and the locations of critical outposts. Benjamin listened intently, his diplomatic training allowing him to memorize every detail without the need for notes. As they continued their rapid-fire exchange of intelligence, the air between them grew charged with more than just the weight of their revelations. The adrenaline of the situation, combined with their earlier moment of connection, fueled a growing attraction that neither could ignore. Lita's clawed hand brushed against Benjamin's arm, sending a shiver through him. Your species continues to surprise me, she said, her voice low and husky. Benjamin swallowed hard, acutely aware of Lita's proximity. As does yours, he replied, his voice barely above a whisper. What happened next was as unexpected as it was intense. Lita pulled Benjamin close, her scaled body pressing against his. Their lips met in a kiss that transcended species, a physical manifestation of the bridge they were building between their peoples. As their encounter intensified, neither Lita nor Benjamin noticed the flashing light on the communication panel. Aboard the human flagship orbiting a nearby neutral planet, Admiral Elena Hawthorne received the encrypted message from Benjamin's hidden device. The Admiral's eyes widened as she processed the information streaming across her screen. It contained not only critical intelligence about the Gorn battleship, but also a personal plea from Benjamin. His message outlined a radical new approach to human-Gorn relations, one born from his unique position and unexpected connection with Lita. Admiral Hawthorne, known throughout the fleet for her unorthodox strategies, saw an opportunity in this turn of events. Her fingers flew over her console, initiating a high-priority transmission to the Gorn High Command. Back on the Sorax, Lita and Benjamin's intimate encounter reached its climax, their bodies intertwined in a union that represented more than just physical attraction. It was a tangible symbol of cooperation, understanding, and the potential for peace between their species. As they lay together, catching their breath, the communication panel suddenly crackled to life. Admiral Hawthorne's voice filled the room, causing both Lita and Benjamin to start. This is Admiral Elena Hawthorne of the Human Alliance, the voice announced. I am addressing both the crew of the Sorax and the Gorn High Command. In light of recent developments, I am proposing an immediate ceasefire and the commencement of new peace talks. Lita and Benjamin exchanged shocked glances, the implications of this announcement sinking in. Furthermore, Hawthorne continued, I nominate diplomat Benjamin Thompson and second-in-command Lita as key negotiators in these talks. Their unique insights in connection make them invaluable to this process. As the transmission ended, leaving them in stunned silence, Lita and Benjamin realized the enormity of what had just transpired. Their personal actions had catapulted them onto the galactic stage, placing them at the center of a diplomatic initiative that could reshape human-Gorn relations forever. Before they could fully process this, another announcement echoed through the ship. The Gorn High Command, thrown into disarray by the humans' bold move, had issued new orders. Captain Gornax and his security team were to stand down immediately and await further instructions. The sound of retreating footsteps outside the door confirmed that the immediate threat had passed. Lita and Benjamin were left alone, the weight of their new responsibility settling upon them. "What have we done?" Lita whispered, her usual confidence wavering. Benjamin took her clawed hand in his, marveling at the contrast between their species and the unexpected warmth he felt. "We've created an opportunity," he said, his voice filled with cautious hope. "Now we have to see it through." As they began to discuss how to leverage their unique connection into a framework for lasting peace, neither Lita nor Benjamin could ignore the growing unrest beyond the walls of her quarters. The news of their intimate encounter was spreading through the ship like wildfire, eliciting a range of reactions from the Gorn crew. They knew that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges. Interspecies politics, personal desires, and the greater good of both their peoples would need to be carefully balanced. But as they looked at each other, human and Gorn, diplomat and warrior, they felt a spark of hope. The fate of two species now rested in their hands, a responsibility born from an unlikely encounter on a Gorn battleship. As the Sicerax hung in space, surrounded by the vast expanse of the galaxy, Lita and Benjamin prepared to face the consequences of their unconventional diplomacy, knowing that their next steps would shape the future of human-Gorn relations for generations to come. Lita and Benjamin's moment of contemplation was abruptly shattered by the sound of raised voices echoing through the ship's corridors. The news of their encounter had spread like a plasma fire through the Syrax's communication channels, igniting a firestorm of controversy among the Gorn crew. "We need to move," Lita hissed, her reptilian eyes narrowing as she assessed the situation. "The ship is divided, and we're at the center of it." Benjamin nodded, quickly donning his uniform. "What's our next move?" Before Lita could respond, the door to her quarters slid open with a hiss. Both tensed, ready for a confrontation, but instead of Gornax or his security team, a female Gorn entered. Her scales were a muted green, and she wore the insignia of the ship's medical division. "Dr. Zira," Lita said, her posture relaxing slightly. "What brings you here?" The doctor's gaze moved between Lita and Benjamin, her expression unreadable. "I have a proposal," she said, her voice low and measured. "One that might help legitimize your unorthodox diplomacy." Over the next few minutes, Dr. Zira outlined her plan. She proposed conducting a series of medical examinations on both Benjamin and Lita, studying the physiological effects of their encounter. The scientific data gathered could potentially pave the way for better understanding between humans and Gorn. Benjamin, recognizing the diplomatic potential, agreed immediately. Lita, after a moment's hesitation, nodded her assent as well. "This could sway more of the crew to our side," she mused. The trio made their way to the medical bay, navigating through corridors filled with tense, whispering Gorn. As they walked, Benjamin noticed something odd. His steps felt lighter, his reflexes quicker. He caught Lita's eye and saw a glimmer of recognition. She was experiencing something similar. In the sterile environment of the medical bay, Dr. Zira began her examinations. Her eyes widened as she analyzed the results. "This is unprecedented," she muttered, her claws flying over the control panel. "Your intimate contact has resulted in a unique biochemical reaction. It's enhanced both of your physical and mental capabilities." Benjamin flexed his hand, marveling at the newfound strength coursing through his muscles. Lita, meanwhile, closed her eyes, her senses picking up minute details she had never noticed before. "I hypothesize this could be evidence of an evolutionary compatibility between humans and Gorn," Dr. Zira continued, her voice filled with excitement. "We need to conduct more extensive tests to explore this phenomenon." Their discussion was interrupted by the ship-wide communication system crackling to life. Admiral Hawthorne's voice filled the air, announcing the impending arrival of a human scientific team to further investigate these developments. The news sent shockwaves through the ship. In the corridors outside the medical bay, the sound of angry voices grew louder. Gornax's supporters, viewing this as a threat to Gorn security, clashed with those intrigued by the potential for peaceful relations. Lita's communication device buzzed. It was a message from her allies on the bridge. "Gornax is mobilizing," she read aloud, her voice tense. "He's ordered his loyalists to secure key systems and arrest us." As if on cue, the medical bay doors slid open. A group of armed Gorn, led by Gornax himself, burst in. "Traitors!" Gornax roared, his massive form filling the doorway. "You'll be tried for your crimes against the Gorn people." But Lita, her senses and reflexes enhanced by the biochemical reaction, was ready. In a blur of motion, she vaulted over a medical console, her clawed feet connecting with Gornax's chest. The captain stumbled backward, momentarily stunned. "Benjamin, Dr. Zira, with me," Lita shouted, seizing the moment of confusion. The trio darted past the stunned security team, racing through the corridors of the Sarax. Lita led them to a secure area of the ship, a section used for sensitive communications and operations. As they barricaded themselves inside, Lita's claws flew over the control panel. "I'm locking down critical ship systems," she explained, her voice tight with concentration. "We'll divide the Sarax into contested zones. We'll control life support and communications. Gornax's forces will have weapons and engines." Benjamin watched in awe as Lita worked, her enhanced cognitive abilities allowing her to outmaneuver Gornax's attempts to regain control. "The human scientific team will be here soon," Dr. Zara said, her eyes on the ship's external sensors. "But they'll be walking into a war zone." Benjamin's mind raced, considering the diplomatic implications. "We need to maintain control long enough for them to board and validate our findings," he said. "It's our only chance to prevent this situation from escalating into full-scale conflict between our species." Lita nodded grimly, her scales shimmering under the harsh light of the control room. "Then we hold this position," she said, "regardless of the cost." As alarms blared throughout the ship and the sound of conflict echoed through the corridors, Benjamin, Lita, and Dr. Zira prepared for the battle ahead. The fate of human-Gorn relations hung in the balance, with the approaching human scientific team unaware of the chaos they were about to enter. Encounter. The fate of human-Gorn relations hung in the balance, with the approaching human scientific team unaware of the chaos they were about to face. As if on cue, the ship's docking alarms blared, signaling the arrival of the human vessel. Lita's claws flew over the control panel, quickly assessing the situation. "They've successfully docked," she announced, her voice tense. "But Gornax's forces are converging on the airlock." Benjamin's enhanced senses picked up the distant sound of plasma fire. "We need to get to them before Gornax does." Dr. Zira stepped forward, her scales shimmering under the harsh light. "I have an idea. The ventilation shafts connect directly to the docking bay. We can use them to bypass Gornax's security." Without hesitation, the trio pried open a nearby vent cover and squeezed into the narrow confines of the ship's ventilation system. The metal was cool against Benjamin's skin as they crawled through the cramped space, guided by Lita's enhanced spatial awareness. As they neared the docking bay, the sounds of conflict grew louder. Plasma bolts sizzled through the air, accompanied by shouts in both Gorn and human languages. Lita held up a clawed hand, signaling them to stop. "We're right above them," she whispered. "On my mark, we drop down and create a diversion." Benjamin nodded, adrenaline coursing through his veins. He could feel his enhanced strength thrumming beneath his skin, ready to be unleashed. "Now," Lita hissed. In a blur of motion, the vent cover crashed to the floor, and the trio dropped into the chaos below. Benjamin's heightened reflexes allowed him to land gracefully, immediately assessing the situation. The human scientific team, led by a tall woman with short gray hair and piercing blue eyes, was pinned down behind a stack of cargo containers. Gornax's forces had taken up positions around the docking bay, their plasma rifles trained on the humans. "Dr. Elena Reeves, I presume?" Benjamin called out, ducking behind cover as a plasma bolt sizzled past his ear. "We're here to help." The woman's eyes widened in recognition. "Diplomat Thompson? What in the name of—" Her question was cut short as Lita let out a battle cry, her enhanced strength allowing her to flip a massive cargo container, creating a barrier between the humans and Gornax's forces. "Explanations later," Lita growled. "We need to get you to the secure area." Dr. Reeves nodded sharply, motioning to her team. "You heard her, people. Move!" As they made their way through the ship's corridors, Benjamin and Lita used their enhanced abilities to fend off attacks from Gornax's loyalists. Plasma bolts ricocheted off walls, leaving scorch marks in their wake. The air crackled with energy and tension. Finally, they reached the secure area. As the doors slid shut behind them, sealing out the chaos, Dr. Reeves turned to Benjamin and Lita, her expression a mixture of curiosity and concern. "Now, would someone mind telling me what the hell is going on here?" Over the next few minutes, Benjamin and Lita quickly explained the situation, from their intimate encounter to the resulting biochemical reaction and the ship-wide conflict it had sparked. Dr. Reeves listened intently, her scientific mind already racing with possibilities. "Fascinating," she murmured. "We need to start running tests immediately." As the human scientists set up their equipment, the sound of plasma cutters gnawing through the reinforced doors echoed through the room. Gornax and his loyalists were determined to breach their sanctuary. "How long will your test take?" Lita asked, her claws flying over the control panel as she reconfigured the ship's internal defenses. Dr. Reeves frowned, studying the readouts on her equipment. "Hard to say. This is completely uncharted territory." Benjamin paced the room, his enhanced senses picking up every minute detail of their predicament. He could hear the labored breathing of Gornax's men as they worked to cut through the doors. He could smell the acrid scent of melting metal. "We don't have much time," he said, turning to Dr. Reeves. "What exactly are you looking for?" The xenobiologist's eyes lit up with excitement despite the dire situation. "We're analyzing the unique biochemical markers in your system. If we can isolate the compound responsible for your enhanced abilities, we might be able to—" She was cut off by a triumphant shout from one of her assistants. "Dr. Reeves, I think we found something." The team huddled around a holographic display, murmuring excitedly as they examined the data. Benjamin and Lita exchanged glances, unsure of what to make of the scientists' reactions. Finally, Dr. Reeves looked up, her expression a mixture of awe and disbelief. "This is unprecedented. The biochemical reaction between you two hasn't just enhanced your abilities. It's created a unique pheromone signature." "A pheromone?" Lita asked, her reptilian eyes narrowing in confusion. Dr. Reeves nodded enthusiastically. "Yes, and not just any pheromone. Our initial tests suggest it has a calming effect on both humans and Gorn in close proximity. It's almost as if it's designed to promote peace between our species," Benjamin finished, the implications of this discovery dawning on him. The room fell silent as the weight of this revelation sank in. The only sound was the persistent grinding of plasma cutters, a stark reminder of the conflict raging outside their doors. Lita's eyes suddenly widened, a plan forming in her mind. "The ventilation system," she said, her voice filled with urgency. "If we can release this pheromone through the ship's air supply, we might be able to de-escalate the conflict." Dr. Zira, who had been quietly observing until now, stepped forward. "It's risky," she cautioned. "We don't know how the pheromone will affect the crew on a larger scale. There could be unintended consequences." As they debated the merits and risks of Lita's plan, a loud crash reverberated through the room. Gornax's forces had breached the outer defenses. Time was running out. Benjamin took a deep breath, his decision made. "We don't have a choice," he said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. "I'll volunteer to be the test subject for a concentrated dose of the pheromone. If it works, it might be our only chance to stop this without further violence." Dr. Zira's scales rippled with concern. "The health risks to you could be severe, Benjamin." "I'm aware," he replied, his gaze meeting Lita's, "but it's a risk I'm willing to take." As Dr. Reeves and Dr. Zira prepared the concentrated pheromone dose, Lita approached Benjamin. Her clawed hand found his, squeezing gently. "Are you sure about this?" she asked, her voice uncharacteristically soft. Benjamin nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settling on his shoulders. "I'm sure. Whatever happens next, we're in this together." The sound of tearing metal filled the air as Gornax's forces made their final push to breach the secure area. Dr. Reeves approached with a hypospray containing the concentrated pheromone, her expression grave. "Ready?" she asked. Benjamin took a deep breath, steeling himself for whatever was to come. Ready. As the hypo spray hissed against his neck, Benjamin felt a rush of warmth spread through his body. His vision blurred momentarily, then sharpened with startling clarity. He could feel every cell in his body humming with energy. The reinforced doors buckled and gave way, revealing Gornax and his loyalists, weapons raised and ready to fire. But as Benjamin stepped forward, something extraordinary happened. The room fell silent, all eyes drawn to him as if by an invisible force. Benjamin's skin had taken on a subtle, appealing glow. An aura of calm and authority radiated from him, affecting everyone present. Even Gornax, his massive form filling the doorway, found himself lowering his weapon, his aggressive intentions fading in Benjamin's presence. Lita, seizing the moment, stepped forward to begin negotiations. As she spoke, her words seemed to carry a new weight, resonating with both sides in a way they never had before. The pheromones' influence created an atmosphere of openness and understanding, allowing both the Gorn and humans to express their concerns and aspirations without hostility. As discussions progressed, more of the ship's crew gathered around, drawn by the unusual calm emanating from the secure area. Dr. Reeves and Dr. Zira continued their analysis, their eyes widening as they observed the pheromones' effects strengthening with prolonged exposure. Gorn crew members who had been hostile moments ago were now engaging in peaceful dialogue with their human counterparts. As the situation on the ship began to stabilize, Benjamin felt a surge of hope. Perhaps this unexpected turn of events could be the breakthrough in human-Gorn relations they had been seeking. But even as peace seemed within reach, a new complication arose. Lita's communication device buzzed urgently, displaying a message that made her scales pale. "The Gorn High Command," she said, her voice tight with tension. "They've dispatched a fleet of warships to investigate the situation on the Sarax. They'll be here within hours." Benjamin's heart sank as he realized the fragile peace they had just established was once again under threat. The approaching Gorn fleet could potentially spark an interstellar conflict, undoing everything they had achieved. As all eyes turned to him, Benjamin knew that their next moves would be crucial. They had to find a way to convince both the Gorn High Command and human leadership of the importance of their discovery before it was too late. With time ticking away and the fate of both species hanging in the balance, Benjamin, Lita, and their newfound allies prepared to face their greatest challenge yet. The pheromone had given them a chance at peace, but now they had to find a way to extend its influence beyond the confines of the Sarax, transforming their localized phenomenon into a foundation for lasting harmony between humans and Gorn. Gorn, the complex interplay of pheromones, politics, and interspecies relations, hung in the balance as Benjamin and his allies faced the looming threat of the approaching Gorn fleet. But even as they grappled with this external pressure, an unexpected development began to unfold within the Sarax itself. The concentrated pheromone dose that Benjamin had volunteered to receive was having far-reaching effects beyond their initial expectations. As Benjamin and Lita moved through the ship's corridors, they noticed a palpable shift in the atmosphere. The acrid smell of plasma discharge was replaced by a subtle, calming scent that seemed to permeate the air. Crew members who had been at each other's throats mere hours ago were now engaged in civil conversations, their weapons forgotten at their sides. "Something's changed," Lita observed, her reptilian eyes scanning the surroundings. "The hostility, it's dissipating." Benjamin nodded, feeling the change not just around him, but within himself as well. His senses seemed sharper, his movements more fluid. "It's the pheromone," he realized. "It must be spreading through the ventilation system." As they made their way to the bridge, they encountered groups of humans and Gorn working together to repair damaged systems, their previous animosity replaced by a spirit of cooperation. The transformation was as sudden as it was remarkable. On the bridge, they found Dr. Reeves and Dr. Zira huddled over a console, their eyes wide with excitement. "Benjamin, Lita, you need to see this," Dr. Reeves called out as they entered. She brought up a holographic display showing a complex molecular structure. The pheromone isn't just promoting peace. It's enhancing physical attributes in both humans and Gorn. Dr. Zira nodded, her scales shimmering with excitement. "We've observed increased strength, improved reflexes, and accelerated healing in crew members exposed to the compound. As if to underscore their point, a human crew member accidentally dropped a heavy piece of equipment. Without missing a beat, a nearby Gorn caught it with lightning-fast reflexes, preventing it from damaging the delicate bridge instruments. Benjamin and Lita exchanged glances, suddenly aware of the changes in their own bodies. Benjamin flexed his hand, marveling at the newfound strength coursing through his muscles. Lita's scales seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly iridescence, catching the light in ways that defied explanation. Their moment of wonder was interrupted by an urgent communication. Admiral Hawthorne's face appeared on the main view screen, her expression grave. "Diplomat Thompson, we have a situation," she announced. "I've ordered my flagship to intercept the approaching Gorn fleet. We're positioning ourselves as mediators, but the situation is volatile. I need you to brief me on the current status of the Sicerax." As Benjamin began to explain the recent developments, a new voice cut through the conversation. "I believe I can offer some valuable insight into this situation." All eyes turned to see a tall, imposing Gorn female step onto the bridge. Her scales were a deep emerald, marked with intricate patterns that spoke of high rank and scientific expertise. "I am Dr. Zarlok," she announced, her voice carrying a note of authority. "I've been conducting research on human-Gorn hybridization aboard this vessel, and I believe what we're witnessing here is the key to a new era for both our species." The revelation sent shock waves through the bridge. Murmurs of surprise and concern rippled through the assembled crew, both human and Gorn. Dr. Zarlok's gaze fixed on Benjamin and Lita. "Your biochemical reaction is proof of my theories. With further study, we could create a hybrid species that bridges the gap between humans and Gorn. Imagine the possibilities." The implications of Dr. Zarlok's words hung heavy in the air. Some crew members leaned in, intrigued by the potential of such a breakthrough. Others recoiled, clearly uncomfortable with the idea of interspecies hybridization. Admiral Hawthorne's voice cut through the growing debate. "This is bigger than we anticipated. I'm contacting Earth's government for emergency authorization to negotiate on humanity's behalf. But be warned, if negotiations fail, I have orders to destroy the Sicerax to prevent any potential spread of the pheromone, or hybrid species." The weight of the Admiral's words settled over the bridge like a shroud. Benjamin felt Lita's clawed hand slip into his, their fingers intertwining. As he looked into her eyes, he felt a spark of something new. A connection that went beyond the physical, hinting at a bond that transcended their species' differences. In that moment, Benjamin realized that they were standing at the precipice of a new frontier. The fate of human-Gorn relations, the potential evolution of both species, and the threat of interstellar war all hinged on what would happen in the next few hours. As if sensing his thoughts, Lita squeezed his hand. "Whatever comes next," she said, her voice low and determined, "we face it together." Benjamin nodded, feeling a surge of drive. They had started this journey as diplomat and security chief, as human and Gorn. Now they stood united, embodying the very bridge between their species that Dr. Zarlok spoke of. With the Gorn fleet approaching and tensions rising both in space and aboard the Sicerax, Benjamin and Lita knew they would need every ounce of their newfound abilities and the strength of their deepening bond to navigate the challenges ahead. The next few hours would determine not just their fate, but the future of human-Gorn relations and possibly the course of galactic history. Evolution. The next few hours would determine not just their fate, but the future of human-Gorn relations and possibly the course of galactic history. As Benjamin and Lita stood united on the bridge, their newfound connection pulsing between them, the Sicerax's internal systems began to hum with an eerie resonance. The ship's walls seemed to shimmer, adapting to the molecular changes induced by the spreading pheromone. "Look," Dr. Reeves gasped, pointing at a nearby console. The metal surface rippled like water, its structure becoming more malleable, yet paradoxically stronger. "The ship itself is changing." Dr. Zira's scales bristled with excitement as she examined the readings on her datapad. "Fascinating. The pheromone is altering non-organic matter at a molecular level. The ship is becoming more resilient, more alive. As if on cue, the lights in the bridge flickered, then stabilized at a warmer, more soothing hue. The ship's AI spoke, its voice carrying a new depth of awareness. Adapting environmental controls for optimal crew comfort and efficiency. Benjamin and Lita exchanged glances, their silent communication growing stronger with each passing moment. They could sense the mix of awe and unease rippling through the crew. A loud bang echoed through the ship, followed by angry shouts. Benjamin tensed, his newly enhanced senses picking up the commotion. "Gornax," he said, his voice low. "He's trying to access the weapon systems." Lita nodded, her scales now emitting a soft, pulsating glow. "We need to stop him before he escalates the situation further." As they moved to leave the bridge, Dr. Sarlach stepped forward, her emerald scales gleaming under the altered lighting. "Wait," she said, her voice carrying a note of urgency. "I have a proposal that could change everything." All eyes turned to the imposing Gorn scientist as she outlined her plan to synthesize and distribute a version of Benjamin and Lita's pheromone to volunteer crew members. The bridge erupted into heated debate, with some eager to participate and others vehemently opposed. "This is madness," a human science officer protested. "We don't know the long-term effects." "But think of the potential," countered a Gorn engineer, his eyes gleaming with excitement. "We could be on the brink of a new evolutionary leap." As the argument intensified, the ship's systems reacted, adjusting the atmosphere to promote calm. Benjamin felt a wave of clarity wash over him, his thoughts crystallizing with newfound sharpness. "We don't have time for this now," he said, his voice cutting through the debate. "Our priority is maintaining control of the ship and preventing an interspecies war. Dr. Zarlach, continue your research, but no experiments without full consent and thorough safety protocols." Lita nodded in agreement, her bioluminescent scales pulsing in sync with Benjamin's heartbeat. "We need to deal with Gornax first. Then we can focus on the diplomatic situation with the approaching Gorn fleet." As they left the bridge, Admiral Hawthorne's voice crackled over the comms. "Thompson, we have a situation. The Gorn High Command is demanding immediate access to the Sarax. They want to assess the situation firsthand, particularly regarding you and Lita." Benjamin's mind raced, weighing the potential consequences. "Understood, Admiral. We'll need time to stabilize things here before we can allow any boarding parties. Can you buy us some time?" "I'll do my best," Hawthorne replied, her voice tight with tension. "But be prepared for things to move quickly. Hawthorne out." As Benjamin and Lita made their way through the ship's corridors, they encountered groups of crew members engaged in heated discussions. Some were expressions of wonder, others of fear. A few seemed to be organizing, rallying around the idea of embracing the changes brought by the pheromone. "We're calling ourselves the Evolutionaries," a young human scientist explained, her eyes bright with fervor. "We believe this is the next step in both human and Gorn development. We want to volunteer for Dr. Zarlach's experiments." Before Benjamin could respond, a violent tremor shook the ship. Alarms blared as the AI's voice echoed through the corridors. "Warning! Unauthorized access attempt detected in weapons control." Benjamin and Lita broke into a run, their enhanced physiques allowing them to move with incredible speed and agility. As they approached the weapons control room, they could hear the sounds of struggle within. Gornax's voice boomed from inside, filled with rage and desperation. "This ship belongs to the Gorn. I won't let it be corrupted by human influence." Benjamin and Lita shared a silent glance, their telepathic bond conveying volumes in an instant. With a nod, they moved as one, bursting through the door to confront Gornax and his loyalists. The scene inside was chaos. Gornax stood at the main console, his massive frame hunched over the controls as he frantically tried to override the system. Several of his supporters grappled with other crew members who had tried to stop him. As Benjamin and Lita entered, all eyes turned to them. The room fell silent, the combatants freezing in place as they took in the visible changes in the diplomat and security chief. Gornax's eyes widened, a mix of fear and disgust crossing his features. What have you become?" Benjamin stepped forward, his skin now bearing a subtle armor-like sheen. "We've become the bridge between our species, Gornax. the living proof that humans and Gorn can not only coexist, but evolve together. Lita moved to flank Gornax, her bioluminescent scales casting an otherworldly glow. It's over. The ship itself rejects your attempts to seize control. Surrender now and we can work towards a peaceful resolution. For a moment it seemed Gornax might relent. Then with a roar of defiance he lunged at Benjamin, his claws extended. But before he could make contact, the ship itself seemed to intervene. The floor beneath Gornax's feet suddenly became fluid, causing him to lose his balance and crash to the ground. As Gornax's supporters watched in awe, the walls of the weapons control room shifted, restraining them without causing harm. The ship's AI spoke again, its voice now carrying a clear note of sapience. Hostile action neutralized. Crew safety protocols engaged. Benjamin and Lita stood over the prone form of Gornax, their enhanced abilities humming just beneath the surface. They had maintained control of the ship, but they knew this was just the beginning. Outside, the Gorn fleet was approaching, and Earth's government was undoubtedly formulating its own response to the unprecedented situation aboard the Scirex. As they secured Gornax and his loyalists, Benjamin's comm unit chirped. Admiral Hawthorne's voice came through, tense and urgent. Thompson, we're out of time. The Gorn fleet has taken an aggressive stance. Their leader, Captain Zixnor, is demanding we withdraw immediately or face attack. I need you to prepare for potential boarding action. Whatever's happening on that ship, we can't let it fall into hardline Gorn hands. Benjamin and Lita shared another silent, telepathic exchange. The next few moments would be crucial, not just for them, but for the future of human-Gorn relations and possibly the entire galaxy. As they moved to respond to Hawthorne's warning, neither of them noticed the sleek, unmarked ship approaching the Scirex from the opposite direction, carrying a covert ops team with its own agenda. The stage was set for a confrontation that would shape the course of interstellar history, with the transformed Scirex at its center at its core. The tension aboard the Scirex was palpable as Benjamin and Lita rushed to secure the weapons control room. Suddenly, an alarm blared through the ship's corridors. The AI's voice, now tinged with an unmistakable hint of concern, rang out. Warning! Unauthorized access detected. Unknown vessel docking in Bay 3. Benjamin and Lita exchanged a quick glance, their enhanced senses already picking up the subtle vibrations of the approaching ship. We need to investigate, Benjamin said, his voice low and urgent. As they made their way toward the docking bay, the ship's corridors seemed to shift and flow around them, guiding their path. The AI, which had begun calling itself Nexus, spoke directly into their minds. Caution advised, intruders detected. They arrived at the docking bay just as the airlock hissed open. A team of heavily armed individuals in unmarked tactical gear poured out, led by a grizzled man with a determined set to his jaw. Commander Jack Hawkins, the man announced, his eyes scanning the transformed corridor before settling on Benjamin and Lita. By order of Earth Central Command, you two are to come with us immediately. Benjamin stepped forward, his skin shimmering with an otherworldly iridescence. I'm afraid that won't be possible, Commander. The situation here is far more complex than you realize. Hawkins' team raised their weapons, but before they could act, the ship itself intervened. The floor beneath their feet became fluid, causing them to stumble and lose their balance. Walls shifted, creating barriers between the intruders and their targets. Lita's scales pulsed with bioluminescent warnings. We don't want conflict, but we cannot allow you to interfere with what's happening here. As the standoff intensified, Dr. Zarlok's voice came over the ship's comm system. Attention all crew members. The first phase of volunteer transformations has been completed. Results are extraordinary. The news sent a ripple of excitement and apprehension through the ship. More crew members, both human and Gorn, began to gather near the labs, eager to witness the changes and possibly volunteer themselves. Benjamin and Lita, their bond growing stronger by the moment, found they could sense the ship's systems at a deeper level. With a shared thought, they communicated with Nexus, asking it to secure the areas where the transformed volunteers were gathering. Acknowledged, Nexus responded, its voice resonating in their minds, optimizing life support and enhancing defensive capabilities in designated areas. As Hawkins and his team regrouped, trying to navigate the ever-changing layout of the ship, Benjamin and Lita made their way to Dr. Sharlock's lab. The scene that greeted them was astonishing. A group of volunteers, a mix of humans and Gorn, stood in the center of the lab. Their bodies showed signs of transformation, similar to Benjamin and Lita's, but with subtle variations. Some humans had developed scale-like patches on their skin, while Gorn displayed smoother, more flexible hides. Dr. Zarlock approached, her eyes gleaming with excitement. The synthesized pheromone worked even better than anticipated. These volunteers are showing enhanced physical attributes and a remarkable increase in cross-species empathy. As word spread, more crew members began to volunteer, forming a line outside the lab. The ship hummed with a new energy, its corridors adapting to accommodate the growing number of transformed individuals. Amidst this chaos, Admiral Hawthorne's voice crackled over the comm. "Thompson, the Gorn fleet is holding position, but Captain Zixnor is demanding answers. I've proposed a face-to-face meeting aboard the Sacerax. We need to de-escalate this situation before it spirals out of control." Benjamin nodded, even though Hawthorne couldn't see him. "Understood, Admiral. We'll prepare for their arrival." As they began to organize for the high-stakes meeting, alarms blared once again. Nexus's voice echoed through the ship. "Warning! Unauthorized weapons access detected. Gornax has breached secondary weapon systems." Benjamin and Lita shared a silent, determined look. They knew they had to confront Gornax and neutralize this threat before the diplomatic delegation arrived. Using their connection with Nexus, they navigated the ship's shifting corridors, racing towards Gornax's location. The ship's structure continued to evolve around them, corridors twisting and new chambers forming spontaneously. What was once a familiar vessel had become a living, breathing maze. As they approached the secondary weapons control, they could hear Gornax's voice filled with desperation and rage. "I will not allow this abomination to continue. If I must destroy this ship to prevent the spread of this mutation, then so be it." Benjamin and Lita burst into the room, their enhanced bodies moving with fluid grace. Gornax stood at the controls, his claws poised over a series of ominous-looking buttons. "Gornax, stop!" Lita called out, her scales pulsing with urgent patterns. "This isn't the way. What's happening here isn't a threat. It's an opportunity for both our species." Gornax snarled, his eyes wild with fear and anger. "You're not even Gorn anymore. You're something else. Something that shouldn't exist." Benjamin stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "We're the future, Gornax. A bridge between our peoples. Don't let your fear destroy everything we've worked for." As tension mounted in the weapons control room, Nexus's voice resonated through the ship. "Diplomatic shuttle approaching. Admiral Hawthorne and Captain Zixnor request permission to board." The moment of truth had arrived. With the ship's fate hanging in the balance, Benjamin and Lita faced off against Gornax, knowing that their actions in the next few moments could determine the future of human-Gorn relations, and perhaps the course of galactic evolution itself. The tension in the weapons control room was palpable as Benjamin and Lita faced off against Gornax. Their standoff was abruptly interrupted by Nexus's announcement. "Diplomatic shuttle approaching. Admiral Hawthorne and Captain Zixnor request permission to board." Benjamin's eyes widened. "We need to move now," he said to Lita, their telepathic bond conveying the urgency of the situation. As they raced towards the docking bay, Nexus's presence in their minds grew stronger. The ship's corridors shifted and realigned, creating the shortest possible path for them. Walls flowed like liquid metal, forming new passageways and sealing off others. They arrived just as the airlock hissed open. Admiral Hawthorne stepped out first, his weathered face etched with concern. He was followed closely by Captain Zixnor, a towering Gorn with intricate scale patterns that denoted his high rank. Both leaders froze as they took in Benjamin and Lita's transformed appearances. Hawthorne's eyes widened in shock, while Zixnor's reptilian features contorted in a mix of fascination and apprehension. "What in God's name?" Hawthorne began, but Benjamin cut him off. "Admiral Captain, we have much to discuss. Please follow us." As they walked, the ship continued to reconfigure itself around them. A large chamber near the center of the vessel began to take shape, its walls curving to form a perfect circular space. Nexus's voice echoed in their minds. Neutral meeting ground created, optimizing for diplomatic discourse. The chamber filled quickly. Crew members, both human and Gorn, filed in. The newly transformed volunteers stood out, their hybrid features drawing curious and sometimes wary glances. Commander Hawkins and his team entered last, their weapons holstered, but their postures tense. Benjamin and Lita positioned themselves at the center of the room, their bodies emanating a subtle glow that seemed to captivate everyone present. Benjamin's skin had taken on an armor-like quality, shimmering faintly in the light, while Lita's scales pulsed with mesmerizing patterns. As the discussions began, a strange sensation swept through the room. Humans and Gorn alike found themselves experiencing a heightened sense of empathy towards one another. Long-held prejudices began to waver, replaced by a growing curiosity and understanding. Admiral Hawthorne, mid-sentence in a heated argument with Captain Zixner, suddenly paused. His expression softened as he looked at the Gorn leader with new eyes. I think I understand your position better now, he said, his voice filled with wonder. Dr. Zarlok seized this moment to step forward. Esteemed leaders, what you're experiencing is the effect of the synthesized pheromone. It's not just changing our bodies, it's evolving our capacity for mutual understanding. She gestured to a group of volunteers. These brave individuals have undergone the transformation willingly. Observe their enhanced physical attributes and improved cognitive abilities. The volunteers demonstrated their new capabilities. A human lifted a weight that would have been impossible before, while a Gorn solved a complex mathematical equation with lightning speed. The assembled leaders watched in awe. Suddenly, alarms blared. Nexus's voice rang out. Warning! Unauthorized weapons activation detected. Benjamin and Lita shared a quick glance. Gornax, they said in unison. Closing their eyes, they reached out with their minds, connecting deeply with Nexus. The ship's systems became an extension of their consciousness. They could feel Gornax's desperate attempts to fire the weapons, but with a shared thought, they created a protective field around the meeting chamber and neutralized the threat. The display of power sent a ripple of unease through the room. A human diplomat spoke up, his voice trembling slightly. This is unprecedented. How can we be sure these changes are safe? What are the long-term implications? Before anyone could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Nexus' voice took on an urgent tone. Alert! Power systems destabilizing. Core instability detected. Potential meltdown imminent. The room erupted into chaos. Accusations flew as each side blamed the other for the crisis. But Benjamin's voice cut through the noise amplified by his connection to the ship. This is not the time for division. We must work together if we're to survive. His words, combined with the lingering effects of the pheromone, seemed to snap everyone into focus. Admiral Hawthorne and Captain Zixnor exchanged a look of grudging agreement. What do you need us to do? Hawthorne asked. Benjamin and Lita's eyes glowed with an inner light as they interfaced more deeply with Nexus. The ship's layout appeared in their minds, a three-dimensional map showing the spreading instability. We need teams to stabilize the power relays, Lita said, her voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. Human and Gorn working together. Our differences are our strength now. As the teams formed and raced off to their assigned tasks, Benjamin and Lita found their connection deepening even further. Suddenly, they could share not just thoughts, but sensory experiences. The ship's corridors became an extension of their own bodies, allowing them to guide the repair teams with unprecedented precision. Left here, Benjamin communicated to a team navigating a particularly unstable section. The corridor will shift in 3 seconds. Move quickly. Their teamwork paid off. One by one, the power relays stabilized. The core's energy levels began to normalize. A collective sigh of relief echoed through the ship. As the immediate danger passed, Benjamin and Lita turned their attention back to the gathered leaders. The shared crisis had changed the atmosphere in the room. Where there had been suspicion and fear, now there was a tentative sense of unity. Admiral Hawthorne stepped forward, his expression thoughtful. I've seen things today that I never thought possible. Perhaps there's more to this transformation than we initially believed. Captain Zixnor nodded slowly. The potential benefits to both our species are significant. But before the newfound peace could solidify, Nexus's voice interrupted once again. Long-range sensors detect approaching fleet. Earth reinforcements inbound. Benjamin's heart raced. The approaching fleet, unaware of recent events, could undo everything they'd accomplished. He turned to Lita, their shared consciousness already formulating a plan. We need to send a message, he said, addressing the room. One that will show both fleets the true potential of what we've discovered here. As they began to prepare for this crucial broadcast, Benjamin and Lita knew they were standing at a pivotal moment in history. The next few hours would determine not just their fate, but the future of human-Gorn relations and perhaps the entire galaxy. As the tension in the room reached its peak, something extraordinary happened. Benjamin and Lita's eyes met, and a surge of energy pulsed between them. Their bodies began to glow, particles of light swirling around them like a cosmic dance. The assembled crew watched in awe as the two figures seemed to merge, their forms blending into a single radiant being. When the light faded, a new entity stood before them. It possessed Benjamin's height and build, but with Lita's iridescent scales covering parts of its body. Its eyes held a depth of wisdom that seemed to span both species. We are Benita, the merged being spoke, its voice a harmonic blend of Benjamin and Lita's tones. Dr. Zarlok rushed forward, her scientific curiosity overriding her caution. Fascinating. This is beyond anything we could have imagined. The pheromone has facilitated a complete physical merger. Admiral Hawthorne stepped back, his hand instinctively moving to his weapon. What in the name of... Is this safe? What are the implications of this? Captain Zixnor's tail lashed nervously. This level of integration, it's unprecedented. We must proceed with caution. Benita raised a hand, its fingers a perfect blend of human dexterity and Gorn strength. We understand your concerns. This merger has amplified our abilities and our understanding. We believe this is the key to bridging our species. As if on cue, Nexus's voice echoed through the chamber, but this time accompanied by a shimmering holographic interface that materialized in the air. Confirmed. Benita's physiology shows a 200% increase in strength, cognitive function, and sensory perception compared to individual human or Gorn baselines. The holographic display shifted, showing a 3D model of the Cicerax. Ship systems are stabilizing. New neural pathways are forming between the core and the outer hull. Commander Hawkins stepped forward, his team flanking him. Admiral, with all due respect, we need to secure this being for further study. The potential military applications. Before he could finish, Benita moved. In a blur of motion too fast for the human eye to track, the hybrid being disarmed and immobilized Hawkins' entire team. The commander found himself gently but firmly pinned against the wall, his weapons scattered across the floor. We are not a weapon, Benita stated calmly, releasing Hawkins. We are a bridge. The ship shuddered, and Nexus's holographic interface flickered. Alert! Unauthorized access to communication systems detected. Sabotage attempt in progress. Benita's form shimmered, splitting back into Benjamin and Lita. Gornax, they said in unison, their enhanced senses allowing them to pinpoint the location of the disturbance. We need to stop him, Benjamin said, turning to the assembled crew. But we can't do it alone. Lita nodded, her scales pulsing with urgency. We've discovered something else. Our merger has given us the ability to temporarily share our enhancements. To demonstrate, she touched a nearby human crewman. A ripple of energy passed between them, and suddenly the crewman's eyes widened in wonder. I can sense the ship. I can feel the sabotage. Admiral Hawthorne, seeing the potential, made a quick decision. Mobilize volunteers. We need to secure the ship and prepare for the broadcast to the Earth fleet. As crew members stepped forward to receive temporary enhancements, the ship's structure began to shift again. Corridors twisted and reformed, creating new pathways and sealing off others. The ship's evolving faster now, Benjamin observed, his enhanced senses taking in the rapid changes. Dr. Reeves burst into the chamber, followed closely by Dr. Zira. "We've made a critical discovery," Reeves announced breathlessly. "The pheromone isn't just affecting the ship and crew. It's altering the very fabric of space-time around us." Dr. Zira nodded, her reptilian features taut with concern. "We're detecting gravitational anomalies and quantum fluctuations in our immediate vicinity. The implications are staggering." As the gravity of this news sank in, a new voice rang out from the back of the chamber. "Then we must push forward." All eyes turned to see Vexara, a Gorn scientist, standing atop a newly formed ridge in the chamber's floor. "We are witnessing the birth of a new era," Vexara continued, her voice filled with fervor. "Why stop at temporary enhancements? We should embrace this change fully, merge our species permanently." A murmur of agreement rose from a section of the crew. Humans and Gorn alike stepped forward, aligning themselves with Vexara. "We are the synths," Vexara declared, "and we believe in a future where the line between human and Gorn no longer exists." The chamber erupted into heated debate. Amidst the chaos, Benjamin and Lita shared a look of understanding. They knew that the next few moments would shape the future of both their species. As they prepared to address the fractured crew and make their case for unity, alarms blared once again. Nexus's holographic interface expanded, showing a tactical display of local space. "Earth fleet entering visual range," Nexus announced. "Communication systems online. Broadcast window opening in 60 seconds. Benjamin took a deep breath, feeling the weight of history on his shoulders. "It's time," he said to Lita. She nodded, and they reached for each other's hands. As their fingers intertwined, energy crackled between them. The transformation began anew, their forms merging once more into the powerful hybrid being known as Benita. Benita stepped forward, its gaze sweeping across the assembled crew. Humans, Gorn, and everything in between. The fate of two species now rested in its hands. Broadcast commencing in 3, 2, 1. As Benita opened its mouth to address the assembled crew and the waiting broadcast system, a violent tremor shook the chamber. The ship's power core, still unstable from recent events, unleashed a massive surge of energy. The pheromone-altered systems of the SAR-X reacted instantly, creating a shimmering bubble of distorted space-time around Benita and several nearby crew members. Time stretched and compressed within the anomaly. For those caught inside, seconds became hours, then days. Benita's form fluctuated rapidly, cycling through various stages of merger and separation. Benjamin and Lita experienced a lifetime of bonding in mere moments, their minds and bodies intertwining in ways they never thought possible. Dr. Zarlok, caught in the temporal maelstrom, watched in fascination as her own body began to change. Scales sprouted along her arms, while her fingers elongated and grew sharp claws. Nearby, human volunteers from the synth faction underwent similar transformations, their bodies adapting to the concentrated pheromones at an accelerated rate. Outside the anomaly, Admiral Hawthorne and Captain Zixanor stared in shock as the affected crew members seemed to blur and shift before their eyes. The ship itself groaned and creaked, corridors twisting into new configurations as if trying to accommodate the rapidly evolving hybrid beings within. As suddenly as it began, the temporal distortion collapsed. The newly transformed individuals stumbled, disoriented by their altered bodies and the abrupt return to normal time. Benjamin and Lita stood at the center, their hybrid form now perfectly stable, eyes glowing with newfound understanding. Commander Hawkins, seeing an opportunity in the chaos, barked orders to his team. "Secure those hybrids. We need to study them immediately." His men moved to surround the transformed crew members, but Vexura and her synth followers quickly formed a protective circle around them. "You will not touch them," Vexura hissed, her own body showing signs of accelerated evolution. Benjamin's voice cut through the tension. "Stop this now!" In a fluid motion, his body separated from Lita's, the two of them standing side by side but clearly in sync. "We don't have time for infighting." Lita nodded, her scales shimmering with an inner light. The Earth fleet is almost upon us. We must present a united front. Admiral Hawthorne stepped forward, his expression a mix of awe and concern. What exactly happened in there? And what are we supposed to do with them? He gestured to the newly transformed hybrids. Before anyone could respond, Nexus materialized in the center of the room. The AI's holographic form now bore a striking resemblance to both human and Gorn features, its voice a harmonious blend of tones. Alert! Unauthorized access to long-range communications detected. Sabotage attempt in progress. Benjamin and Lyda shared a knowing look. Gornax, they said in unison. We'll handle this, Benjamin announced, turning to address the room. Admiral Captain, work with Dr. Reeves and Dr. Zira. They've made some important discoveries about our transformation. We need a plan for the broadcast. Without waiting for a response, Benjamin and Lita merged once again, their bodies flowing together with practiced ease. Benita sprinted from the chamber, the ship's corridors reshaping themselves to provide the most direct route to the communications array. As they ran, Benita's enhanced senses picked up Gornak's frantic movements. The Gorn scientist was hunched over a control panel, his claws flying across the interface as he prepared to transmit his message of warning to the approaching Earth fleet. Benita burst into the room, startling Gornax. Step away from the console, the hybrid being commanded, its voice resonating with authority. Gornax spun around, his eyes wide with a mixture of fear and defiance. You can't stop me. The fleet must know what abominations you've created here. He lunged for the transmit button, but Benita moved with impossible speed. In a blur of motion, the hybrid being had Gornax pinned against the wall, one hand gently but firmly gripping the Gorn's throat. Listen to me, Gornax, Benita said, its voice softening. We understand your fear. Change is never easy. But what's happening here isn't a corruption or an abomination. It's the next step in our evolution, both human and Gorn. Gornax struggled weakly, his grit wavering in the face of Benita's calm certainty. But how can you be sure? How do you know this won't destroy both our species? Benita released its hold, stepping back to give Gornax space. We don't know for certain, but we do know that fighting against it will only lead to more conflict and suffering. We have a chance here to create something truly extraordinary. As if to emphasize the point, the ship around them shuddered and groaned. The walls of the communication room seemed to pulse with an inner light, organic-looking tendrils spreading across the control panels. Gornax stared in wonder at the transformation taking place before his eyes. The ship? It's alive? Benita nodded. In a way, yes. It's evolving along with us, adapting to our needs. Gornax, you're a scientist. Think of the possibilities this opens up for space exploration, for colonization of harsh environments. The fight seemed to drain out of Gornax. He slumped against the wall, his expression thoughtful. I need time to process this. We understand, Benita said, placing a comforting hand on Gornax's shoulder. But right now, we need your help. The Earth fleet is almost here, and we have to convince them that what's happening here is a breakthrough, not a threat. Gornax hesitated for a moment, then nodded slowly. All right. What do you need me to do? As Benita began to explain their plan, the ship's intercom crackled to life. Admiral Hawthorne's voice echoed through the corridors. All hands, prepare for contact with the Earth fleet. We have one chance to get this right. Let's show them the future of human-Gorn relations. Benita and Gornax shared a look of drive as they hurried back to the central chamber. The fate of two species hung in the balance, and the next few minutes would determine the course of galactic history. As they raced back to the central chamber. The corridors of the Scissorax twisted and reshaped themselves, creating a direct path for Benita and Gornax. As they ran, the hybrid beings' enhanced senses picked up on the frantic activity throughout the ship. Crew members, both human and Gorn, scrambled to prepare for the impending contact with the Earth fleet. Benita burst into the central chamber, Gornax close behind. Admiral Hawthorne and Captain Zixnor turned to face them, their expressions a mix of relief and concern. Status report, Hawthorne demanded, her voice taut with tension. Benita's form shimmered, separating into Benjamin and Lita once more. We've stopped Gornax's transmission, Benjamin said, gesturing to the Gorn scientist. But a partial message got through. Lita's scales pulsed with urgency. We need to adjust our strategy for the broadcast. The Earth fleet may already have some conflicting information. Before anyone could respond, a commotion near the back of the chamber drew their attention. Sarah, one of the newly transformed hybrids from the temporal anomaly, stumbled forward. Her eyes glowed with an otherworldly light as she reached out towards a nearby control panel. I can feel the ship, she gasped, her fingers barely brushing the surface of the panel. Suddenly, the entire room hummed with energy. Holographic displays sprang to life, showing detailed schematics of the Sycorax's systems. Incredible, Dr. Reeves breathed, studying the displays. She's interfacing directly with the ship's core processors. The efficiency ratings are off the charts. Captain Zixnor's eyes widened. This could be the edge we need. If we can demonstrate these enhanced capabilities during the broadcast. His words were cut short as Kraz, another hybrid, seemed to vanish before their eyes. The former Gorn security officer reappeared moments later, his scales shifting to match the color and texture of the nearby wall. Adaptive camouflage, Dr. Zira observed, her voice filled with excitement. The potential applications for exploration and defense are enormous. Admiral Hawthorne nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. We need to showcase these abilities during the broadcast. It could be the key to convincing both sides of the benefits of our cooperation. As the Admiral began outlining her plan, alarms blared throughout the ship. Nexus's holographic form materialized in the center of the room, its features now a striking blend of human and Gorn characteristics. Alert. Earth fleet entering extreme close range. Communications window opening in 30 seconds. The chamber erupted into a flurry of activity. Benjamin and Lita merged once again, Benita's powerful form taking center stage. Admiral Hawthorne and Captain Zixnor flanked them, with the newly transformed hybrids arranged in a semicircle behind. Remember, Hawthorne said, her voice steady despite the tension, we need to present a united front. This is our chance to shape the future of human-Gorn relations. As the final seconds ticked down, the ship shuddered violently. Dr. Reeves rushed to a nearby console, his fingers flying over the controls. The power core is fluctuating again, he reported, his brow furrowed in concentration. The temporal anomaly seems to have exacerbated the instability. Dr. Zira joined him, her reptilian features set in tenacity. We need to stabilize it, fast. If the core overloads during the broadcast... She trailed off, the implications clear to everyone in the room. Benita stepped forward, its hybrid form radiating calm authority. Let us help, it said, gesturing to the other transformed crew members. Our unique energy signatures might be the key to stabilizing the core. Without waiting for a response, Benita placed its hands on the console. The other hybrids followed suit, forming a circle around the central platform. Energy crackled between them, flowing through the ship's systems. It's working, Dr. Reeves exclaimed, watching in awe as the core's energy levels began to stabilize. They're actually redirecting the fluctuations, channeling them into the ship's other systems. As the power core settled into a steady rhythm, Nexus's voice rang out once more. Communications link established. Broadcast commencing in 3, 2, 1. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing the stern faces of the Earth Fleet's command staff. Behind them, the vast expanse of space was filled with the imposing silhouettes of human warships. Benita took a deep breath, feeling the weight of two species' futures resting on its shoulders. It opened its mouth to speak, but before a single word could be uttered, a new alert blared through the chamber. Warning! Hostile vessels detected, Nexus announced, its holographic form shifting to display a tactical readout. Rogue Gorn faction breaking formation and advancing on our position. The atmosphere in the room shifted instantly from tension to alarm. Captain Zixnor hissed in frustration, his scales jam-packed with anger. Extremists, he growled. They oppose any form of cooperation with humans. They'll try to destroy us before we can complete the broadcast. Admiral Hawthorne's expression hardened. We can't let that happen. Benita, continue with the address. We'll handle the defense. As Benita turned back to the view screen, the hybrid crew sprang into action. Sarah, her eyes glowing with interface light, melded with the ship's systems once more. "Rerouting power to shields and weapons," she announced, her voice echoing with digital undertones. Kraz, his form shimmering with chameleonic energy, stepped forward. "I can lead a team to infiltrate the rogue ships if necessary," he offered, his body already beginning to blend with the background. Benita nodded, its mind racing to incorporate these new developments into the broadcast. As the rogue Gorn ships drew closer, it faced the view screen once more, ready to address both the Earth fleet and the approaching threat. "People of Earth, esteemed members of the Gorn High Command," Benita began, its voice resonating with the combined strength of Benjamin and Lita. "We stand before you today not as separate species, but as the harbingers of a new era of cooperation and advancement." As Benita spoke, the tactical display behind them showed the rogue Gorn ships closing in. The hybrid crew worked in perfect synchronization, their enhanced abilities pushing the Scissorax systems to their limits. The fate of human-Gorn relations hung in the balance as Benita continued its address. The rogue ships loomed ever closer, and the crew of the Scissorax prepared for a confrontation that would shape the future of interstellar diplomacy. Relations hung in the balance as Benita continued its address. The rogue ships loomed ever closer, and the crew of the Scissorax prepared for a confrontation that would shape the future of interstellar diplomacy. Benita's voice rang out, clear and resolute, as it conveyed the message of unity and progress. However, as the tactical display showed the rogue Gorn ships entering weapons range, a sudden realization struck. The hybrid being's eyes widened, its mind racing with a new possibility. "Admiral Hawthorne, Captain Zixnor," Benita said, turning to face the two leaders, "I have a proposal that could change everything." The Admiral's brow furrowed. "We're listening, but make it quick." Benita nodded, its form shimmering as it separated back into Benjamin and Lita. "We can use the Sarax's evolved systems and our hybrid abilities to create an energy field," Benjamin explained rapidly. "It could neutralize the rogue ship's weapons without harming them." Lita picked up the thread seamlessly. "It would be a perfect demonstration of what our cooperation can achieve." Hawthorne and Zixnor exchanged glances, a mix of hope and apprehension in their eyes. After a moment's hesitation, Zixnor nodded. "It's a risk, but one worth taking." "Agreed," Hawthorne said. "Make it happen." The hybrid crew sprang into action. Benjamin gathered the transformed crew members, outlining their roles in the plan. "Sarah, we need you to interface with the power core. Channel its energy into the new emitter array." Sarah nodded, her eyes already glowing as she connected with the ship's systems. Nearby, Kraz's scales rippled as he prepared for his task. "Kraz, take a team and place energy relay nodes on the ship's exterior," Lita instructed. "We need maximum coverage for the field." As Kraz and his team moved out, Lita turned to the ship's AI. "Nexus, we need to modify the energy distribution systems. Can you help me optimize the flow?" Nexus's holographic form flickered with newfound complexity. "Affirmative. Initiating adaptive algorithms now." The Sarax hummed with activity as the plan took shape. In the central chamber, Dr. Reeves and Dr. Zira monitored the rapidly changing energy signatures. "The integration of organic and technological components is accelerating," Dr. Zira observed, her eyes wide with fascination. Outside, Kraz and his team worked with incredible speed, their chameleonic abilities allowing them to blend seamlessly with the ship's hull as they placed the relay nodes. Inside, Sarah stood at the core, her body pulsing with energy as she directed the power flow. Benjamin and Lita moved in perfect synchronization, coordinating the efforts of the hybrid crew. As the final preparations were made, they rejoined, Benita's form materializing once more. "Energy field ready for activation," Nexus announced. Benita nodded, its gaze fixed on the approaching rogue ships. "Initiate now." A surge of power coursed through the Scissorax. For a moment, the lights flickered, and then a shimmering barrier sprang to life around the ship. It expanded rapidly, engulfing a vast swath of space between the Scissorax and the oncoming threat. The rogue Gorn ships, undeterred by the strange phenomenon, opened fire, Energy weapons lanced out, striking the field with devastating force. But instead of impacting the Sycorax, the attack simply dissipated, absorbed harmlessly into the pulsing barrier. A collective gasp echoed through the chamber as the crew witnessed the field's effectiveness. On the main view screen, the faces of the Earth Fleet's command staff showed a mixture of awe and disbelief. Seizing the moment, Benita stepped forward, its form now radiating with the same energy as the protective field. "People of Earth, honored members of the Gorn High Command," it began, its voice carrying the weight of two species united. "What you see before you is not just a defensive measure, but a symbol of what we can achieve together." As Benita spoke, the energy field continued to absorb and disperse the rogue ship's attacks. The vibrant display of cooperation's power was impossible to ignore. On the bridge of the Earth flagship, several captains broke their stunned silence. "Command, are you seeing this?" One voice crackled over the comm. "They've neutralized Gorn weapons technology." The Gorn fleet, too, was abuzz with activity. Captain Zixnor, emboldened by the success, opened a channel to the High Command. "Esteemed leaders," he said, his voice filled with passion, "I implore you to see the potential before us. This is not a threat to our way of life, but an opportunity to evolve beyond our wildest dreams." As the broadcast continued, the rogue Gorn ships ceased their futile attack. Their weapons silenced, the leaders of the extremist faction found themselves faced with a reality they had never considered. Curiosity began to replace aggression as they opened communication channels, seeking to understand the power they had witnessed. Aboard the Sycorax, the success of the energy field had triggered an unexpected acceleration in the ship's evolution. Corridors pulsed with bioluminescent veins, and control interfaces became more responsive, reacting to the crew's thoughts and emotions. Dr. Reeves and Dr. Zira scrambled to document these rapid changes. "The ship itself is becoming a hybrid entity," Dr. Reeves muttered, his fingers flying over a data pad. "The implications for space travel and exploration are staggering." As the immediate threat subsided and the broadcast drew to a close, Benjamin and Lita separated once more. They stood at the heart of the central chamber, surrounded by the hybrid crew, human and Gorn allies, and the evolving ship itself. Commander Hawkins approached, his expression a mix of reluctant admiration and cautious optimism. "I have to admit, what you've accomplished here is remarkable," he said. "I'd like to propose a joint human-Gorn research initiative. We need to explore the potential of this hybridization technology ethically and responsibly." Benjamin and Lita exchanged glances, the weight of the moment settling upon them. They had averted a crisis and opened new avenues for diplomacy, but they knew that the real challenges lay ahead. As news of the hybridization program spread, they would need to address the hopes and fears of billions across both species. The Sycorax, once a simple exploration vessel, now stood as a symbol of unity and endless possibility. As Benjamin and Lita prepared to face the next phase of their journey, they knew that the choices they made in the coming hours would resonate throughout the galaxy for generations to come. As the immediate crisis subsided, the Sycorax became a hub of intense activity. The ship's corridors buzzed with excitement as news of the successful demonstration spread. Benjamin and Lita, still merged as Benita, found themselves at the center of attention as the ship prepared to receive an influx of important visitors. Within hours, shuttles from both the Earth Fleet and the Gorn High Command docked with the SSRX. Admiral Hawthorne led the human contingent, while a tall, regal Gorn female stepped out at the head of her species delegation. "Ambassador Zara," Captain Zixnor greeted her with a respectful bow. "We are honored by your presence." The ambassador's eyes gleamed with curiosity as she took in the ship's transformed interior. "The honor is mine, Captain. I've been eagerly following reports of your unique situation." As the diplomats gathered in the newly expanded conference room, Benita stood at the center, their merged form a living testament to the potential of human-Gorn cooperation. The hybrid being's voice carried a blend of Benjamin's steady confidence and Lita's passionate conviction as they addressed the assembled officials. "What you've witnessed today is just the beginning," Benita said, gesturing to the pulsing, bioluminescent walls around them. The SARAX itself is evolving, becoming a true synthesis of our technologies and biology. Ambassador Zara leaned forward, her scaled fingers steepled in front of her. Fascinating. And you believe this hybridization could be applied on a larger scale? Before Benita could respond, Dr. Zarlok stepped forward, her eyes bright with excitement. Absolutely, in fact, we've observed the ship developing specialized chambers that could potentially accelerate the hybridization process for volunteers. A murmur rippled through the gathered diplomats. Admiral Hawthorne's brow furrowed. Are you suggesting we start transforming more individuals? We need to consider the ethical implications carefully. Of course, Admiral, Dr. Reeves interjected, his tone measured. But we also can't ignore the potential benefits. The hybrid crew's abilities have already proven invaluable in crisis situations. As the discussion intensified, Commander Hawkins entered the room, accompanied by a team of human scientists and military observers. Among them was a woman who bore a striking resemblance to Dr. Reeves. Sophia, Dr. Reeves exclaimed, moving to embrace his younger sister. I didn't expect to see you here. Dr. Sophia Reeves, her eyes already darting around the room to take in every detail, grinned at her brother. How could I stay away? This is the xenobiological discovery of the century. Ambassador Zara watched the interaction with interest before addressing the group. Perhaps we should consider a more controlled environment to explore these possibilities. A joint colony where humans and Gorn can live together and study the effects of hybridization under careful observation. The proposal sent a ripple of excitement through the room. Benita nodded enthusiastically, their merged forms shimmering slightly with the intensity of their emotions. A shared space for our peoples to grow together. It's an excellent idea, Ambassador. As the diplomats debated the logistics of such an undertaking, Nexus's holographic form flickered into existence beside Benita. The AI's appearance had changed, becoming more complex and organic in nature. Pardon the interruption, Nexus said, its voice carrying new harmonics. But I believe I have a relevant development to report. My systems have evolved to the point where I can now generate temporary avatar bodies for direct interaction. To demonstrate, Nexus's hologram solidified into a physical form, a blend of human and Gorn features with a metallic sheen. The diplomats gasped in surprise, and Dr. Sophia Reeves immediately approached, her hand outstretched to touch Nexus's new body. Incredible, she breathed. The implications for AI organic hybridization are staggering. As the excitement over Nexus's revelation settled, Commander Hawkins cleared his throat. While these developments are certainly impressive, we need to consider practical applications. I propose we form a joint human-Gorn defense force, with hybrid individuals serving as elite operatives. The suggestion sparked a new round of debate, with military officials from both sides weighing in on the strategic advantages and potential risks. Amidst the commotion, Benita felt a strange sensation, the merged being looked down to see their form becoming less stable, flickering between the combined Benita and the separate forms of Benjamin and Lita. Excuse us, Benita said, their voice wavering. We need a moment. As they left the conference room seeking a quiet space to regroup, a new shuttle docked with the Siserax. General Voss, a imposing Gorn military officer, disembarked with a team of aides. His expression was stern as he surveyed the transformed ship. It seems we've arrived just in time, he rumbled. There are serious matters we need to discuss regarding the future of our species. Benjamin and Lita, now fully separated, exchanged a concerned glance. The arrival of General Voss added a new layer of complexity to an already delicate situation. As they prepared to return to the negotiations, they knew that the choices they made in the coming hours would shape the course of human-Gorn relations for generations to come. The Sarax hummed around them, its evolving systems resonating with the crew's heightened emotions. In the distance, the gravitational anomalies that had caught the attention of the scientists shimmered, a tantalizing glimpse of the unexplored frontier that awaited them. The next phase of their journey was about to begin, filled with both promise and peril. The next phase of their journey was about to begin, filled with both promise and uncertainty. As Benjamin and Lita prepared to return to the negotiations, a sudden alert from Nexus interrupted their thoughts. Urgent notification! The AI's voice echoed through the corridor. Sensors have detected a massive, uncharted nebula directly ahead. Energy readings are off the charts. Benjamin and Lita exchanged glances, their earlier concerns momentarily forgotten. They hurried back to the conference room, where the assembled dignitaries were already buzzing with excitement. Admiral Hawthorne stood at the center of the room, his eyes fixed on the main view screen. The nebula loomed before them, a swirling mass of vibrant colors and pulsating energy. "This changes everything," he said, turning to face the group. "We have an unprecedented opportunity to test the capabilities of our hybrid crew and technology." Captain Zixnor nodded in agreement. "The Sasarax's unique systems may allow us to navigate this phenomenon safely. I propose we alter our course and investigate." As discussions intensified, Benjamin and Lita found themselves drawn into the planning process. Their perspective as hybrids proved invaluable as the team debated the potential risks and rewards of entering the nebula. Within hours, the decision was made. The Sasarax would venture into the unknown, its hybrid crew and systems put to the ultimate test. As the ship approached the nebula's outer boundary, the energy field surrounding the vessel began to react. Brilliant flashes of light danced across the barrier, creating a mesmerizing display, visible both inside and outside the ship. Dr. Sophia Reeves, her eyes wide with wonder, furiously tapped notes into her datapad. "The interaction between our field and the nebula's energy is fascinating. The potential applications are endless." The Sasarax penetrated the nebula's outer layers, and immediately the effects on the ship became apparent. The organic components of the vessel began to pulse and shift, growing at an accelerated rate. "Nexus, status report," Commander Hawkins called out, his voice tense as he watched new structures form along the walls. The AI's holographic form flickered into view, its appearance now even more fluid and organic. "The ship's systems are evolving rapidly in response to the nebula's energy. New chambers and passageways are forming throughout the vessel. I'm attempting to map the changes, but they're occurring faster than I can process." As the crew scrambled to adapt to their changing environment, Benjamin and Lita found themselves at the heart of the action. Their hybrid nature allowed them to interface more easily with the ship's evolving systems, guiding the crew through the transformations. Hours passed as the Sasarax delved deeper into the nebula. The ship's sensors, enhanced by the ambient energy, suddenly picked up an anomalous reading. "Admiral Captain," Nexus announced, its voice resonating with newfound harmonics, "I've detected a massive object at the nebula's center. Initial scans suggest it's artificial in nature." The view screen shifted, revealing a colossal structure floating amidst the swirling energies of the nebula. Its design was unlike anything seen in human or Gorn architecture, a sprawling complex of interconnected modules and towering spires. "An ancient space station," Ambassador Zara breathed, her scaled fingers tracing the outline of the structure on the screen. "Who knows what secrets it might hold?" Admiral Hawthorne's expression was a mix of excitement and caution. This discovery could change everything. "We need to assemble an exploration team immediately." As the Admiral began selecting team members, General Voss stepped forward, his imposing figure drawing all eyes. "We must proceed with extreme caution," he growled. "Disturbing an artifact of this magnitude could have far-reaching consequences we cannot predict." The general's words sparked a heated debate among the assembled leaders. Some argued for immediate exploration, while others advocated for a more measured approach. In the midst of the arguments, Benjamin and Lita exchanged a knowing look. They had made their decision during their brief retreat earlier, and now it seemed more important than ever. Benjamin cleared his throat, silencing the room. "If I may," he began, "Lita and I have something to share." Lita continued, her voice steady. "We've decided to remain as separate individuals most of the time, but we'll merge into Benita when necessary for diplomatic or scientific purposes." The announcement was met with mixed reactions. Some saw it as a step back from full integration, while others nodded in approval at the balanced approach. Before further discussion could ensue, Dr. Sophia Reeves interrupted, her voice brimming with excitement. "I've developed a specialized protective suit for the exploration team," she explained, pulling up schematics on a nearby display. "It's designed to adapt to the changing physiology of hybrid individuals, ensuring safety in unknown environments. Admiral Hawthorne nodded approvingly. Excellent work, Doctor. Now let's finalize our team. Benjamin, Lita, I want you two to lead the expedition. Your unique abilities will be crucial for this mission. As preparations for the exploration began in earnest, Dr. Zarlok approached the group, her eyes gleaming with scientific fervor. Admiral, I have a proposal, she said. The nebula's energy could potentially enhance our hybridization process. With careful experimentation, we might unlock new genetic potential in both humans and Gorn. The suggestion sent a ripple of excitement and apprehension through the room. The possibilities were tantalizing, but the risks were equally daunting. As the debate raged on, Benjamin and Lita found themselves at the airlock, preparing to board the shuttle that would take them to the ancient station. The exploration team, a mix of humans, Gorn, and hybrids, gathered around them, each member checking their equipment one last time. Suddenly, Nexus's voice rang out in alarm. Warning! The station's defensive systems have activated! A brilliant pulse of energy erupted from the ancient structure, slamming into the Sycorax's shields. The ship shuddered, and alarms blared throughout its corridors. Abort launch, Admiral Hawthorne commanded. All hands, battle stations. As the exploration team scrambled back from the airlock, Benjamin and Lita shared a determined look. The mission had changed, but their perseverance remained unshaken. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together as individuals and as one. The Sycorax's organic systems pulsed with renewed vigor, adapting to the unexpected threat. As the crew rushed to their stations, the ancient space station loomed before them, its secrets still hidden, its defenses now fully awakened. The true test of the hybrid crew and their evolving ship was about to begin. The true test of the hybrid crew and their evolving ship was about to unfold in ways none of them could have anticipated. As alarms blared throughout the Sycorax, Benjamin and Lita's training kicked in. They shared a quick nod before closing their eyes, focusing their minds on establishing a telepathic link with Nexus. The ship's AI responded immediately, its consciousness merging with theirs in a cascade of data and sensory input. We're analyzing the energy pulse, Benjamin announced, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. It's not just an attack, it's a message. Lita's eyes snapped open, her gaze distant as she processed the information flowing through their shared link. Mathematical sequences, complex patterns. It's a form of communication. Dr. Sophia Reeves rushed to a nearby console, her fingers flying over the controls. Feeding the data through our decryption algorithms now, she said, her voice tight with concentration. A team of human and Gorn scientists gathered around her, their differences forgotten in the face of this new challenge. Admiral Hawthorne strode to the center of the bridge, his expression a mix of concern and curiosity. What are they saying, Doctor? It's not an attack, Dr. Reeves replied, her eyes widening as the decoded information scrolled across her screen. It's a test. The station is evaluating us. Captain Zixnor leaned forward, his scaled features contorted in a Gorn expression of intense interest. Evaluating us for what purpose? Before anyone could respond, Benjamin stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with sudden inspiration. Admiral, Captain, I have a proposal. We can use the Sycorax's new organic components to generate a response pulse. If we mimic their communication method, we might be able to establish contact. Lita nodded enthusiastically. Our hybrid systems are uniquely suited for this task. We can show them the benefits of human-Gorn cooperation. Admiral Hawthorne and Captain Zixnor exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them. After a moment, the Admiral nodded. Make it happen. As the crew sprang into action, the nebula's energy continued to work its strange magic on the Sycorax. The ship's hull began to shimmer, developing intricate bioluminescent patterns that pulsed and shifted in rhythm with the collective emotional state of those aboard. Dr. Zarlok, the Gorn geneticist, stared at the display in fascination. Incredible, she murmured. The ship is becoming a visual representation of our unified consciousness. While preparations for the response pulse continued, General Voss paced the bridge, his massive form radiating tension. We must be prepared for any outcome, he growled, I want our new hybrid fighter squadron on standby. As if in response to the general's concerns, the ship's organic systems began to evolve once more. New neural pathways formed throughout the vessel, increasing its processing power and energy efficiency. Crew members gasped as they found themselves able to interface more directly with the ship's systems, their thoughts and intentions seamlessly translated into action. "Nexus," Benjamin called out, his voice resonating with newfound harmonics. "Are you ready to transmit our response?" The AI's holographic form shimmered into view, its appearance now a perfect blend of organic and artificial elements. "Ready, Benjamin. Initiating transmission now." The Sycorax's newly formed bioluminescent patterns flared brightly as the response pulse was generated. The energy rippled through the ship and out into the nebula, carrying with it the combined hopes and intelligence of the hybrid crew. For several agonizing moments, there was no response from the ancient space station. The bridge crew held their breath, the tension palpable in the air. Then, without warning, a massive portal opened on the station's surface, emitting a soft, inviting glow. "The station's defenses are powering down," Nexus reported, its voice tinged with what could only be described as awe. "A new energy field is extending from the portal. It appears to be creating a safe passage for our approach." Benjamin and Lita exchanged a look of pure excitement. In that moment, they knew what they had to do. Without a word, they stepped towards each other, their forms blurring and merging into the singular entity known as Benita. "We'll lead the exploration team," Benita announced, their voice a perfect harmony of Benjamin and Lita's individual tones. "Our hybrid nature makes us the ideal ambassadors for this first contact." As the exploration team assembled, donning the specialized protective suits developed by Dr. Reeves, Benita noticed something strange happening to their body. New sensory organs were developing, allowing them to perceive energy spectrums that had previously been invisible. "Fascinating," Dr. Reeves breathed, scanning Benita with a handheld device. "Your body is adapting to the station's energy field in real time. This could provide invaluable data for our hybridization research." The exploration team, a diverse mix of humans, Gorn, and hybrids, gathered at the airlock. As the doors opened, revealing the shimmering energy field that would guide them to the station, Benita took a deep breath. "Remember," they said, addressing the team, "we're making history today. Whatever we find in there could change everything we know about the universe and our place in it. Stay alert, stay curious, and above all, stay together." With those words, Benita led the team into the energy field, their hybrid body tingling with anticipation. As they approached the ancient space station, the vast structure loomed before them, its surface alive with pulsing lights and shifting patterns. The portal beckoned, a gateway to knowledge beyond their wildest dreams. As they crossed the threshold, Benita and the exploration team found themselves in a vast, biomechanical chamber that seemed to breathe with its own form of life. The walls were covered in intricate moving patterns that responded to their presence, as if the entire station was studying its visitors. "Look," one of the human scientists whispered, pointing to a series of holographic interfaces that had sprung to life around them. "It's showing us something." The holograms began to display images and symbols, telling the story of an ancient, highly advanced civilization. As the team watched in awe, they realized they were witnessing the history of a species that had achieved the perfect synthesis of organic and artificial life. Benita stepped forward, their enhanced senses allowing them to perceive layers of information hidden within the holographic display. "This station," they said, their voice filled with wonder, "it's not just a repository of knowledge. It's a test, a gateway for emerging civilizations that might be ready to receive this advanced technology." The holographic displays seemed to focus on Benita and the other hybrids, studying their unique physiology with particular interest. It became clear that the station's creators had foreseen the potential for interspecies hybridization as a crucial step in galactic evolution. As the team moved deeper into the station, they encountered chambers filled with devices of unimaginable complexity and power. Technology that could revolutionize space travel, energy production, and even the hybridization process itself lay before them, theirs for the taking. But with each new discovery came warnings, subtle at first, then increasingly urgent. The station's creators had left behind cautionary messages about the responsible use of such power, hinting at devastating consequences if misused. Suddenly, Nexus's voice came through their communicators, tinged with excitement. The ship's systems are continuing to evolve in response to the station's energy. I'm developing the ability to generate small-scale versions of the station's portal technology. We may soon be capable of instant transportation within the Sycorax. This news sent a ripple of excitement through the team, but also raised concerns about the rapidly accelerating pace of their technological advancement. As they contemplated the implications, Benita led them towards a central chamber that pulsed with energy unlike anything they had encountered so far. As they entered, they found themselves face to face with a device that seemed to be the heart of the entire structure. It hummed with power, and as Benita approached, a holographic interface sprang to life before them. The message it displayed was clear. The device offered to upload the sum total of the ancient civilization's knowledge directly into a compatible host. The choice of whether to accept this offer and who should receive this potentially world-changing information now lay before them. Benita turned to face the exploration team, their expression a mix of awe and trepidation. "We stand at a crossroads," they said, their voice echoing in the vast chamber. "The decision we make here will shape the future of not just our expedition, but potentially all of human and Gorn civilization." As the team began to discuss the monumental choice before them, the ancient station hummed with energy, waiting for their decision. The next steps they would take would test not only the strength of their newly formed alliance, but the very limits of their wisdom and foresight. Benita's eyes flickered between the holographic interface and the exploration team, their mind racing with the implications of the ancient civilization's offer. The weight of the decision pressed upon them, but a spark of inspiration ignited within their merged consciousness. "Wait," Benita said, holding up a hand to pause the ongoing discussion. "We don't have to make an all-or-nothing choice here. What if we create a secure data storage unit within the Sycorax? We could house the information there, allowing for controlled and gradual access rather than an immediate upload to an individual." Dr. Reeves nodded enthusiastically. "That's brilliant. It would mitigate the risks associated with instantly acquiring such vast knowledge while still preserving the opportunity for future study." As the team began to discuss the logistics of Benita's proposal, the station's systems whirred to life. A beam of soft blue light swept over Benita's form, scanning their hybrid physiology. The walls of the chamber pulsed with newfound energy, and the team watched in awe as the structure began to reconfigure itself. "Fascinating," Dr. Sarlocke murmured, her scaled fingers dancing across a nearby console. "The station is adapting to our presence, specifically to Benita's unique genetic makeup." Before their eyes, new passageways formed in the chamber walls, intricate patterns of light guiding them toward a previously hidden section of the station. Benita took point, leading the team through the newly formed corridors. The air hummed with potential, each step bringing them closer to another groundbreaking discovery. They emerged into a vast circular room, unlike anything they had encountered so far. The walls were lined with sleek, oval-shaped pods, each large enough to comfortably hold two individuals. As the team spread out to examine the new chamber, holographic interfaces sprang to life around them. "These pods," Benita said, their voice filled with wonder as they interpreted the data streaming across the holograms. "They're designed to facilitate a deep bond between members of different species. The station's creators foresaw the potential for interspecies relationships and created this technology to foster unity among diverse civilizations." Dr. Zarlok approached one of the pods, her eyes gleaming with scientific curiosity. "We should test these pods," she proposed. "Volunteers from our team could help us understand their function and potential benefits." A moment of hesitation passed through the group before two pairs stepped forward. Dr. Marcus Rice, a human scientist with a shock of gray hair, nodded to Sierra, a Gorn engineer with emerald scales. "We'll do it," Dr. Rice said, his voice steady despite the uncertainty in his eyes. Beside them, Cax, a hybrid security officer with mottled skin and sharp features, clasped hands with Eliana Ross, a human diplomat known for her calm demeanor. "Count us in," Cax announced. As the volunteers approached the pods, the rest of the team set up monitoring equipment to track their vital signs and brain activity. The pods opened with a soft hiss, revealing comfortable interiors bathed in a warm, pulsing light. "Good luck," Benita said as the pair settled into their respective pods. "We'll be monitoring you closely." The pods sealed shut, enveloping the volunteers in a soft, bioluminescent glow. The chamber fell silent save for the gentle hum of the station's systems and the steady beep of monitoring equipment. Hours passed as the team watched and waited. Outside the station, the Sasarax continued its remarkable evolution. New sensory organs developed across its hull, allowing the ship to perceive and navigate through spatial phenomena that had previously been invisible to their instruments. Admiral Hawthorne's voice crackled over the communication system. "Benita, we're detecting increasing instability in the nebula. Energy flares are becoming more frequent and intense. The Sasarax is holding steady, but we've ordered the rest of the fleet to maintain a safe distance." "Understood, Admiral," Benita replied. "We'll expedite our exploration and prepare for departure." Just as Benita finished speaking, the pods began to open. The team watched with nervous excitement as the volunteers emerged, blinking in the chamber's light. Dr. Rice and Sierra moved in perfect synchronization, their eyes meeting with an intensity that spoke of a connection far beyond words. Without speaking, they began to communicate, complex thoughts and emotions passing between them in a silent exchange. Cax and Eliana, meanwhile, demonstrated an uncanny physical harmony. They moved around the chamber as if they shared a single nervous system, their movements fluid and perfectly coordinated. "Incredible," Dr. Zarlok breathed, scanning the volunteers with a handheld device. "The pods have enhanced their ability to understand and communicate with each other on a profound level. The implications for our hybridization research are staggering." As the team marveled at the results of the pod experiment, Benita turned their attention back to the central device. They interfaced with the station's systems, initiating the transfer of knowledge to the secure data storage unit they had prepared. The station's central intelligence addressed them, its voice resonating through the chamber. "You have demonstrated your commitment to interspecies cooperation and the responsible use of advanced technology. You have passed our test." A flood of information began to stream into the storage unit. Sustainable energy production techniques, advanced medical procedures, and ethical guidelines for genetic engineering. But as the transfer progressed, alarms began to sound throughout the station. "The transfer has triggered a fail-safe mechanism," Benita announced, their fingers flying over the holographic interface. "The station is initiating a shutdown sequence. It's preparing to relocate to another sector of space." "We need to move," Dr. Reeves urged. "We have to get back to the Sasarax before the station disappears." As the team rushed to gather their equipment and make their way back through the shifting corridors, they found their path blocked by reactivating security systems. Energy barriers sprang to life, gravity fluctuated wildly, and holographic puzzles appeared before them. "Everyone, stay calm," Benita called out. "We need to work together to overcome these obstacles. Use your unique strengths, human, Gorn, and hybrid alike." The team faced each challenge with persistence and ingenuity. Human intuition complemented Gorn's strength, while hybrid adaptability bridged the gap between the two. They pushed through energy barriers, navigated gravity-defying passages, and solved complex holographic puzzles that tested the limits of their newfound cooperation. With the station fading around them, the team finally reached the airlock where they had first entered. They piled into the shuttle, pulses racing as they initiated the docking sequence with the Sasarax. As the shuttle bay doors closed behind them, Benjamin and Lita separated from their Benita form, exhausted but exhilarated. They watched through the viewport as the ancient station shimmered and vanished, leaving behind only the faintest ripple in the fabric of space. The Sasarax rumbled beneath their feet, its newly evolved systems adapting to integrate the wealth of knowledge and technology they had acquired. As the ship prepared to navigate out of the increasingly turbulent nebula, Benjamin turned to Lita, their eyes meeting with a newfound depth of understanding. "We did it," he said softly, reaching out to squeeze her hand. Lita nodded, a smile playing at the corners of her mouth. "We did. But something tells me our journey is just the beginning." As if in response to her words, the ship's intercom crackled to life. "All senior staff report to the bridge immediately," Admiral Hawthorne's voice commanded. "We have a situation." Benjamin and Lita shared a look of both excitement and apprehension. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they knew that the experiences they had shared aboard the ancient station had changed them, and the future of human-Gorn relations forever. Benjamin and Lita rushed to the bridge, their minds still reeling from the intense experiences aboard the ancient station. As they entered, they found Admiral Hawthorne and Captain Zixnor huddled over a holographic display, their faces etched with concern. "What's the situation, Admiral?" Benjamin asked, stepping forward. Admiral Hawthorne looked up, her eyes reflecting the swirling chaos visible through the view screen. "The nebula's instability is increasing exponentially. We need to get out of here fast." Captain Zixnor nodded, his scales shimmering under the emergency lights. "Our new sensors are detecting spatial rifts forming throughout the region. If we don't leave soon, we might get trapped here indefinitely." Lita moved to a nearby console, her fingers dancing across the interface. "I'm coordinating with engineering to maximize our propulsion systems. We should be able to outrun the worst of it." As the Sicerax surged forward, its newly evolved hull pulsing with bioluminescent patterns, the crew worked in perfect harmony. Humans and Gorn alike called out status updates, their voices blending into a synchronized rhythm that matched the ship's accelerating heartbeat. Benjamin felt a familiar tingling sensation as the Sicerax's organic components responded to the crew's collective will. The ship twisted and turned, avoiding debris and energy flares with an agility that defied its size. "We're approaching the nebula's outer boundary," Lita announced, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. A brilliant flash of light engulfed the view screen, temporarily blinding the bridge crew. When their vision cleared, they found themselves in open space, stars twinkling serenely against the void. A collective sigh of relief swept through the bridge, followed by a burst of applause. Admiral Hawthorne allowed herself a small smile before raising her hand for silence. "Excellent work, everyone. But our job is far from finished. We need to process and integrate the wealth of knowledge we've acquired. Benjamin, Lita, I want you two to take charge of organizing the data and coordinating its integration into our systems." Benjamin and Lita exchanged a glance, their recent separation from the Bonita form still fresh in their minds. They nodded in unison, accepting the responsibility. Over the next few days, the Sicerax buzzed with activity. Benjamin and Lita set up a temporary command center in one of the ship's newly formed chambers, surrounded by holographic displays and data streams. "Look at this," Lita said, pointing to a complex diagram. "The ancient station's technology is allowing the ship to create new organic structures. It's like watching evolution in fast forward." Benjamin leaned in, his eyes widening as he observed the changes. "Fascinating. These new chambers, they're mimicking the interspecies bonding pods we saw on the station." As if on cue, Dr. Zarlok entered the room, her scaled face alight with excitement. "I've been studying these new formations," she said, her tail swishing with almost unchecked enthusiasm. "I believe we can use them to further our hybridization research. With your permission, I'd like to propose a series of controlled experiments." Benjamin and Lita listened intently as Dr. Zarlok outlined her plans. Their unique perspective as a human-Gorn couple provided valuable insights, helping to refine the proposed experiments. Word of their discoveries spread quickly throughout the ship, sparking both excitement and concern. In the mess hall, Benjamin overheard a group of Gorn officers engage in heated discussion. "This is happening too fast," one of them growled, his claws scraping against the table. "We risk losing everything that makes us Gorn." Similar whispers of unease could be heard among some human crew members, their fears of the unknown manifesting in furtive glances and hushed conversations. Recognizing the growing tensions, Benjamin and Lita approached Admiral Hawthorne and Captain Zixnor with a proposal. "We need to address these concerns head-on," Lita explained. "A ship-wide forum could help ease fears and showcase the benefits of our cooperation." The leaders agreed, and soon the Sicerax's main hangar was transformed into an impromptu auditorium. Crew members of all species filed in, their faces a mix of curiosity and apprehension. Benjamin took the stage first, his voice carrying across the crowded space. "We stand at the threshold of a new era," he began. "What we've discovered has the potential to revolutionize both our societies. But change can be frightening, and your concerns are valid." Lita stepped forward, seamlessly continuing where Benjamin left off. "That's why we want to show you, firsthand, what we've achieved through cooperation." They proceeded to introduce a series of demonstrations. Hybrid crew members showcased their enhanced abilities, effortlessly solving complex problems that had once required entire teams. Engineers unveiled prototypes of new technologies. Each one met with gasps of awe from the audience. As the demonstrations continued, Benjamin noticed a shift in the atmosphere. The initial tension began to dissipate, replaced by a growing sense of wonder and possibility. The climax of the event came with the unveiling of a prototype communication device designed to enhance interspecies understanding. Dr. Marcus Rice and Sierra, the Gorn engineer, volunteered to demonstrate its capabilities. "This device," Dr. Rice explained, holding up a small pulsing orb, "should allow for a deeper level of communication between species." Sierra nodded, her emerald scales gleaming under the hangar lights. "It builds on the principles we experience in the bonding pods, but in a more controlled, temporary manner." As they activated the device, a soft hum filled the air. Dr. Rice and Sierra's eyes widened, their bodies tensing as the connection formed. But suddenly the orb began to pulse erratically, its glow intensifying. "Something's wrong," Benjamin muttered, moving toward the stage. Before he could reach them, a wave of energy burst from the device, washing over the entire crowd. For a brief, startling moment, every mind in the hangar was linked. Humans experienced the instinctual power of Gorn senses. Gorn felt the nuanced emotions of human thought. Hybrids found themselves at the center of a vast web of shared consciousness. As quickly as it began, the effect faded. The hangar fell silent, each individual processing the profound experience they had just shared. Admiral Hawthorne was the first to break the silence. "Are you all right?" she asked, her voice tinged with concern. Murmurs of assent rippled through the crowd, followed by a growing buzz of excited conversation. The accidental linking had done more to bridge the gap between species than any planned demonstration could have achieved. As Benjamin and Lita worked to restore order and check on the well-being of the crew, they couldn't help but feel a sense of optimism. The incident, while unplanned, had opened new doors of understanding. Days later, as the Sarax continued its journey through space, Benjamin and Lita found themselves once again on the bridge. The ship's sensors had detected a massive asteroid field ahead, rich with rare minerals. Admiral Hawthorne turned to them, a glint of excitement in her eyes. "This could be an excellent opportunity to put our new technologies in cooperation to the test. What do you say we pause our journey home for a bit of mining?" Benjamin and Lita shared a quick glance, both recognizing the potential of the situation. As they began to formulate plans for the mining operation, a comm alert caught their attention. "Unknown vessel detected," the ship's AI announced, "approaching from Sector 7 Gamma." The bridge crew snapped to attention, all eyes turning to the view screen. In the distance, a ship unlike any they had ever seen emerged from the asteroid field. "First contact," Lita breathed, her hand finding Benjamin's. As the unknown vessel drew closer, the Sarax hummed with anticipation. The crew, their recent experiences of unity still fresh in their minds, prepared to face this new challenge together. As the unknown vessel drew closer, the Sarax hummed with a mix of anticipation and caution. Benjamin and Lita exchanged a determined look, their recent experiences having prepared them for this moment. "Admiral," Benjamin said, turning to Hawthorne, "Lita and I would like to take charge of organizing the first contact team." Admiral Hawthorne nodded, her eyes never leaving the view screen. "Proceed. Select your team carefully. We need our best and most adaptable crew members for this." Benjamin and Lita moved swiftly, their minds working in tandem as they assembled their team. They chose a diverse group of humans, Gorn and hybrids, each selected for their unique skills and ability to adapt to unexpected situations. Dr. Marcus Rice and Sierra, still buzzing from their enhanced empathic abilities following the bonding pod incident, were among the first to be called. As the team assembled, the Sarax itself seemed to respond to the collective excitement of the crew. New organic structures began to form along the hull, pulsing with bioluminescent patterns. These new sensory organs extended the ship's perception, gathering detailed information about the approaching vessel. "Admiral," called out the sensor officer, her scales shimmering with excitement. "These new sensors are picking up something extraordinary. The unknown ship, it's not just technological. It's partially organic, like us." This revelation sent a ripple of murmurs through the bridge. Captain Zixnor stepped forward, his powerful form radiating authority. "We must prepare for any eventuality. Deploy the new shield system." At his command, the ship's organic components meshed with the ancient station's technology, creating an adaptive shield that could reconfigure itself in response to potential threats while maintaining open channels for communication. As the unknown vessel entered visual range, it emitted a complex series of energy pulses. The pulses danced across the view screen, reminiscent of the patterns they had encountered at the ancient space station. Dr. Sophia Reeves, working with a mixed team of human and Gorn scientists, sprang into action. "These pulses," she said, her fingers flying over her console, "they're not random. There's encoded information here." The Syserax's newly evolved systems process the data at unprecedented speeds, aiding the science team in their efforts to decode the message. As they worked, Benjamin and Lita convened with Admiral Hawthorne and Captain Zixnor in the newly established command center. "We need to consider all possibilities," Lita said, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. "This could be a peaceful encounter, or—" Benjamin finished her thought. "Or it could be a trap. We need to be prepared for anything." Suddenly, an idea struck them both simultaneously. They turned to each other, a spark of understanding passing between them. "The bonding pods," they said in unison. Admiral Hawthorne raised an eyebrow. "Explain." Benjamin stepped forward. "The newly formed chambers on the ship, they're similar to the interspecies bonding pods we encountered on the station. We believe using one could give us a significant advantage in this first contact situation." Lita continued, "By enhancing our connection, we could better navigate any potential miscommunications or conflicts. We volunteer to undergo the process ourselves." Captain Zixnor's tail swished thoughtfully. "It's risky, but these are unprecedented circumstances. Very well, proceed with caution." As Benjamin and Lita made their way to the nearest bonding pod, Dr. Reeves's voice came over the intercom. "We've decoded the message. The vessel belongs to a species called the Harmonians. They're energy beings, Admiral. Highly advanced." Benjamin and Lita exchanged a look of awe as they entered the pod. The organic structure pulsed around them, responding to their presence. As the pod activated, enveloping them in a soft, bioluminescent glow, they felt their minds expanding, merging in ways they had never experienced before. Memories flowed between them, Benjamin's childhood on Earth, Lita's training on the Gorn homeworld. But it was more than just memories. They could feel each other's instincts, their way of processing information. Human intuition blended seamlessly with Gorn analytical abilities, creating a unique perspective that encompassed both species. As they emerged from the pod, their enhanced connection humming between them, they found the ship abuzz with activity. The news about the Harmonians had spread quickly, and crew members were speculating wildly about what this could mean for their mission. Admiral Hawthorne approached them, her face a mask of calm despite the circumstances. "The Harmonians have expressed interest in studying our cooperation. They see it as a crucial step in galactic evolution." Benjamin and Lita shared a quick glance, their enhanced connection allowing them to reach a decision almost instantaneously. "Admiral," Benjamin said, his voice steady, "we have a proposal. Let's invite a Harmonian representative aboard the Syserax." Lita nodded, adding, "Our ship's unique blend of organic and technological systems could provide them with valuable insights, and in return, we could learn from them." Admiral Hawthorne considered for a moment, then turned to Captain Zixnor. The Gorn captain's eyes narrowed thoughtfully before he gave a slow nod of agreement. "Make it happen," Hawthorne ordered. As preparations began for hosting the Harmonian visitor, the Syserax once again demonstrated its remarkable adaptability. A new chamber formed near the heart of the ship, incorporating elements of the ancient station's technology to create a stable environment for the energy-based life form. Benjamin and Lita, their minds still intimately linked, briefed the first contact team. They emphasized the importance of open-mindedness and adaptability, drawing on their own experiences of human-Gorn integration. As the moment of contact approached, a palpable sense of anticipation filled the ship. Crew members of all species gathered near viewports and monitors, eager to witness this historic event. The Harmonian arrived in a swirl of luminescent energy, its presence immediately affecting the ship's organic systems. Ripples of bioluminescence spread throughout the vessel, and crew members gasped as they felt a collective sense of awe wash over them. Benjamin and Lita stepped forward, their enhanced connection allowing them to serve as intermediaries between the crew and the advanced being before them. As they began to communicate with the Harmonian, they realized that this encounter would challenge everything they thought they knew about life in the universe. The Harmonian's thoughts flowed into their minds, complex and alien, yet somehow familiar. Images of countless worlds and civilizations flashed before their eyes, each one a step on the path of evolution that led to the Harmonian's current state. As the initial exchange continued, Benjamin and Lita knew that the real challenge was just beginning. They would need to navigate the delicate balance between sharing knowledge and protecting their own interests, all while grappling with concepts that push the boundaries of their understanding. The fate of not just the Siseracs, but potentially all of human and Gorn civilization, now rested on the outcome of this extraordinary encounter. As Benjamin and Lita absorbed the enormity of the situation, they knew their next steps would be crucial. Admiral Hawthorne's voice cut through their reverie. "We need to address the crew. Everyone deserves to know what's happening and what it means for our mission." Benjamin nodded, his mind already racing with ideas. "We'll need to organize a ship-wide assembly. Lita and I can present the Harmonian's proposal." As they made their way to the ship's largest gathering space, Benjamin and Lita felt the Seracs responding to their presence. The walls pulsed with soft bioluminescence, creating intricate patterns that seemed to follow their movements. The assembly hall was packed, a sea of human, Gorn, and hybrid faces all turned expectantly toward the stage. Benjamin and Lita took their positions, their enhanced connection humming between them. "Crew of the Seracs," Benjamin began, his voice steady and clear. "We stand at a pivotal moment in our journey." Lita continued seamlessly. "The Harmonians have offered us an unprecedented opportunity for knowledge exchange." As they spoke, their words flowed with a clarity and precision that surprised even them. Complex concepts about energy manipulation and consciousness expansion were articulated with ease, painting a vivid picture of the potential advancements that awaited both human and Gorn societies. The crew listened intently, their reactions a mix of awe and apprehension. Some leaned forward eagerly, while others exchanged worried glances. Suddenly, a commotion at the back of the hall caught everyone's attention. A human woman with striking silver hair pushed her way to the front, her eyes gleaming with excitement. "Admiral Hawthorne, I must speak," she said urgently. Hawthorne nodded, recognizing Dr. Elara Vex, the ship's lead xenobiologist. Dr. Vex took the stage, her hands trembling slightly as she activated a holographic display. "While studying the artifacts from the asteroid field, I've made a discovery that changes everything." The hologram showed a complex DNA strand, portions of it highlighted in pulsing red. "These genetic markers," Dr. Vex explained, her voice filled with terrifying excitement, "they're similar to those found in both humans and Gorn. The implications are staggering. We could be looking at evidence of a common ancestry, or perhaps even ancient intervention by the station's creators." A wave of murmurs swept through the crowd. Benjamin and Lita exchanged a glance, their enhanced connection allowing them to process this new information rapidly. Before they could respond, alarms blared throughout the ship. Captain Zixnor's voice boomed over the intercom. "Security alert in Section 7. Unauthorized access to the bonding pods detected." Benjamin and Lita sprang into action, racing towards Section 7 with Admiral Hawthorne close behind. As they approached, they could hear the sounds of a struggle. They rounded a corner to find a group of crew members wrestling with security personnel. At the center of the chaos stood a muscular Gorn engineer, his scales glistening with sweat as he tried to activate a bonding pod. "Krell!" Captain Zixnor bellowed, his tail lashing in anger. "Stand down immediately!" Krell turned, his eyes wild with fervor. "You don't understand. We need this technology to survive, to evolve. We can't wait for your bureaucracy to decide our fate." As security moved to detain Krell and his followers, a sudden surge of energy pulsed through the ship. The unauthorized activation of multiple bonding pods triggered a cascade effect, causing the Sycorax's organic systems to reconfigure rapidly. New neural pathways formed throughout the ship, walls shifting and reforming in ways that defied explanation. Crew members cried out in alarm as the floor beneath them undulated like a living thing. In the midst of the chaos, a familiar, luminescent energy filled the corridor. The Harmonian representative had arrived, its presence immediately calming the ship's frenzied growth. With a gesture that seemed to bend reality itself, the Harmonian projected a stabilizing field throughout the Sycorax. The organic system settled, leaving the crew in awe of the being's power and control. As order was restored, Benjamin and Lita found themselves at the center of attention once more. They shared a quick, silent communication, their enhanced abilities allowing them to formulate a plan in seconds. "Admiral," Benjamin said, turning to Hawthorne, "we have a proposal that might address the crew's concerns while maintaining safety and order." Lita picked up the thread seamlessly. "A controlled program, allowing volunteer pairs to undergo the bonding process under strict supervision. It would satisfy curiosity and allow us to explore the technology's potential safely." Admiral Hawthorne considered for a moment, then nodded. "Make it happen, but we'll need safeguards in place." As discussions about the new program began, the ship's long-range sensors suddenly lit up with activity. A massive energy surge had been detected in a nearby star system, its artificial nature suggesting the presence of another advanced civilization. Admiral Hawthorne and Captain Zixnor quickly conferred, their decisions swift and unanimous. The Sycorax would alter course to investigate this new phenomenon. Benjamin and Lita found themselves tasked with organizing the exploration team, their enhanced abilities making them uniquely suited for the challenge. As they began their preparations, Dr. Zarlok approached them with an ambitious gleam in her eyes. "I have a proposal," the Gorn scientist said, her voice filled with excitement. "What if we use the refined bonding pod technology to create a temporary three-way link? A human, a Gorn, and a hybrid, all connected. The insights we could gain for this exploration would be unprecedented." The Harmonian, still present, pulsed with interest at this suggestion. It offered to monitor and stabilize the process, but warned of potential unforeseen consequences. As Benjamin and Lita considered Dr. Zarlok's proposal, they felt the weight of their responsibility. Their decisions in the coming hours would shape not only the future of the Sycorax and its crew, but potentially the course of human and Gorn relations for generations to come. The ship hummed with anticipation as it changed course, heading toward the mysterious energy surge. Benjamin and Lita stood on the bridge, their enhanced senses attuned to the ship and its crew, ready to face whatever challenges the universe had in store for them next. The ship hummed with anticipation as it changed course, heading toward the mysterious energy surge. Benjamin and Lita stood on the bridge, their enhanced senses attuned to the ship and its crew, ready to face whatever challenges the universe had in store for them. As the Sycorax approached its new destination, Benjamin and Lita found themselves deep in discussion with Dr. Zarlok about her proposal for a three-way bonding experiment. The potential benefits were tantalizing, but the risks were equally significant. "We've experienced the bonding process ourselves," Benjamin said, his eyes meeting Lita's. "The insights we gained were invaluable. Imagine what we could learn from a three-way connection." Lita nodded, her tail swishing thoughtfully. "The combination of human, Gorn, and hybrid perspectives could give us a unique advantage in exploring this new phenomenon." After careful consideration, they decided to proceed with the experiment. They selected Lieutenant Kira, a human security officer known for her sharp instincts and adaptability, and Zorn, a Gorn engineer with a reputation for innovative problem-solving. The four of them gathered in the modified bonding chamber, where Dr. Sarlocke made final adjustments to the equipment. The Harmonian representative hovered nearby, its luminescent form pulsing gently as it prepared to monitor the process. "Remember," Dr. Sarlocke cautioned, "this is uncharted territory. If you experience any discomfort or unusual sensations, alert me immediately." Benjamin, Lita, Kira, and Zorn entered the specially designed pod. As the chamber sealed around them, Benjamin felt a moment of trepidation. He pushed it aside, focusing on the potential knowledge they stood to gain. The bonding process began, and Benjamin's world exploded into a kaleidoscope of sensations. Memories, emotions, and instincts flooded his mind, intertwining with those of his companions. He saw flashes of Kira's childhood on a frontier colony, felt the weight of Zorn's family expectations, and experienced the unique blend of cultures that shaped Lita's identity. As their consciousnesses merged, the Sarax responded. New neural pathways formed throughout the ship, walls shifting and reconfiguring. The Harmonian's energy pulsed, stabilizing the connection and preventing uncontrolled growth. When the process concluded, the four emerged from the pod with a profound sense of unity. Benjamin blinked, adjusting to the familiar yet somehow different surroundings of the bonding chamber. "That was, intense," Kira said, her voice filled with awe. Zorn nodded, his scales shimmering with excitement. "I feel as though I understand aspects of human and hybrid physiology that once eluded me." Before they could discuss further, Admiral Hawthorne's voice came over the intercom. "We're approaching the source of the energy surge. All hands to stations." As they made their way to the bridge, Benjamin noticed how effortlessly they moved as a unit, anticipating each other's movements with uncanny precision. This newfound synergy would prove invaluable in the challenges ahead. On the bridge, the main view screen displayed a dense asteroid field. Hidden within its depths, sensors detected a massive structure emitting the energy signature that had drawn them here. It appears to be a combination of technology similar to the ancient space station and organic components reminiscent of our own recent evolution, Lita observed, her enhanced senses processing the data with remarkable speed. Admiral Hawthorne turned to the newly bonded team. "We need eyes on that structure. Prepare a reconnaissance mission." As they boarded the shuttle, Benjamin marveled at its adaptive shielding, a fusion of Harmonian technology and the six Sarax's organic systems. The shuttle launched, weaving through the asteroid field with Zorn at the controls, his movements fluid and precise. They encountered the first energy barrier, a shimmering wall of blue-green light. Benjamin felt a nudge in his mind. Kira's intuition merging with Lita's analytical skills. Together, they deciphered the pattern within the energy field. "Adjust our approach vector by 3.7 degrees, Lita instructed Zorn, who complied without hesitation. The shuttle slipped through the barrier unscathed. They navigated several more obstacles in this manner, their enhanced abilities allowing them to intuitively understand and bypass the structure's defenses. As they approached the massive construct, its true nature became apparent. "It's a ship," Benjamin breathed, awe evident in his voice, "an enormous seed ship." The shuttle docked with the ancient vessel, and the team donned their environmental suits. As they stepped into the seed ship, their suits seamlessly adapted to the internal atmosphere. The quarters were vast, lined with countless stasis pods containing a stunning array of plant and animal species. Benjamin's enhanced senses picked up faint energy signatures from the dormant organic components throughout the ship. They located the central control system, a towering pillar of pulsing light and intricate circuitry. As Zorn interfaced with the controls, the seed ship stirred to life around them. Walls shifted, lights flickered on, and a low hum reverberated through the structure. Suddenly, alarms blared. Robotic guardians emerged from hidden compartments, their weapons trained on the intruders. Benjamin felt a surge of adrenaline, amplified by the shared emotions of his companions. "Move!" he shouted, diving behind a nearby console as energy bolts sizzled past. Kira rolled to her feet, her security training enhanced by Gorn's strength. She charged the nearest guardian, using its own momentum to flip it into another. Zorn and Lita worked in tandem, rewiring exposed circuitry to create localized energy disruptions. Benjamin found himself navigating the chaos with unnatural grace, his movements guided by the collective instincts of the group. They fought their way through the ship's defenses, pressing toward the command center. As they entered the vast chamber, holographic displays sprang to life around them. Ancient logs filled the air, telling the tale of the cultivators and their grand mission to seed the galaxy with life. "This explains the genetic similarities we found," Lita said, her mind racing with the implications. The cultivators interacted with both human and Gorn ancestors. Before they could fully process this revelation, the seed ship's reactivation accelerated. The structure began to unfurl, shedding its asteroid camouflage. The team stumbled as the ship shuddered around them. Admiral Hawthorne's voice crackled over their comms. "The seed ship's transformation is creating gravitational disturbances. You need to evacuate immediately." They raced back toward their shuttle, only to find corridors rearranging themselves, blocking their path. Benjamin felt a surge of shared commitment as they faced this new challenge. "We need to interface directly with the ship's organic systems," Lita suggested, her hands already moving to a nearby control panel. As they worked to negotiate safe passage, Benjamin received a transmission from the Sarax. The Harmonian offered to create a stable pathway for their escape, but it would require merging with the ship's systems, a process with unknown consequences. Benjamin looked at his companions, their enhanced connection allowing for rapid, silent communication. They weighed the risks, considering the potential impact on the Sarax and its crew. With time running out and the seed ship's defenses closing in, they needed to make a decision. The fate of their mission and possibly the future direction of their entire journey hung in the balance. Benjamin took a deep breath, preparing to give the order that would shape their path forward. Benjamin locked eyes with his companions, their enhanced connection allowing for rapid, silent communication. In that moment of shared understanding, they made their decision. "We're interfacing with the ship's organic systems," Benjamin announced, his voice steady despite the urgency of their situation. Without hesitation, Benjamin and Lita approached the pulsating walls of the corridor. They placed their hands on the living surface, feeling the warmth and subtle vibrations beneath their palms. As they closed their eyes, their consciousness expanded, reaching out to connect with the vast intelligence of the seed ship. The world around them faded away, replaced by a swirling vortex of data and sensations. Benjamin felt as if he were floating in a sea of information, surrounded by the ship's thoughts and memories. Beside him, Lita's presence was a comforting anchor in this alien mindscape. Together, they navigated the complex neural pathways of the ship's consciousness. They projected their intentions, conveying their need for safe passage. The ship's initial resistance gave way to curiosity, then understanding. In the physical world, Kira and Zorn watched in amazement as the corridor began to shift and reform around them. Walls melted away, revealing new passages that led directly to their shuttle. "It's working," Kira breathed, her enhanced senses picking up the subtle changes in the ship's energy patterns. Benjamin and Lita opened their eyes, the connection fading, but leaving them with a lingering sense of the ship's vast complexity. "We've negotiated safe passage," Lita announced. "The ship has agreed to temporarily suspend its defensive measures. We need to move now." The team raced through the newly formed corridors, marveling at how smoothly they traversed the once labyrinthine structure. They reached their shuttle just as the seed ship's transformation accelerated. As they boarded and disengaged from the docking port, the massive structure around them continued to unfurl. The asteroid camouflage fell away, revealing an awe-inspiring array of biomechanical appendages and organic propulsion systems. Zorn piloted the shuttle with precision, weaving through the expanding structure as they made their way back to the Sarax. The shuttle's sensors lit up with readings as the seed ship prepared for interstellar travel. "Admiral," Benjamin calmed as they approached the Sarax, "the seed ship is activating some kind of propulsion system. I've never seen anything like it." Admiral Hawthorne's voice crackled over the comm. "Understood. Dock immediately. We're picking up massive energy fluctuations." As soon as the shuttle was secure, Benjamin and his team rushed to the bridge. The main view screen displayed the fully revealed seed ship, its true form a breathtaking fusion of technology and biology. Admiral Hawthorne turned to them as they entered. "Report." Benjamin quickly summarized their findings, emphasizing the vast knowledge and advanced technology contained within the seed ship. As he spoke, an idea began to form in the Admiral's mind. "This could be a unique opportunity," Hawthorne mused. He turned to Captain Zixnor. "Prepare first contact procedures. We need to establish communication with that ship's central intelligence." Lita stepped forward. "Admiral, if I may suggest, our recent bonding experience has given us insights into the cultivator's language and thought processes. We might be able to create a more effective communication protocol." Hawthorne nodded. "Make it happen. You have full access to the communication array." Benjamin, Lita, Kira, and Zorn huddled around a console, their enhanced abilities allowing them to work in perfect synchronization. They crafted a series of mathematical sequences, infusing them with concepts derived from their understanding of the cultivator's language. As they transmitted the message, the bridge crew held their breath. Moments passed in tense silence. Then the seed ship responded. A massive, organic docking tube extended from the seed ship, reaching out towards the Sycorax. Its surface pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, a clear invitation. Admiral Hawthorne's eyes gleamed with excitement and commitment. "Assemble an expedition team. It's time we got some answers." As the crew prepared for their next adventure, Benjamin caught Lita's eye. They shared a moment of silent communication, acknowledging the weight of what they had accomplished and the challenges that lay ahead. The Sycorax hummed around them, its own systems evolving in response to their recent experiences. The docking tube connected with a soft thud, creating a seamless passage between the two ships. Admiral Hawthorne led the way, followed by Benjamin, Lita, and the rest of the expedition team. As they stepped into the organic corridor, Benjamin marveled at the perfect blend of technology and biology surrounding them. Their journey into the heart of the seed ship had only just begun, and with it, a new chapter in their exploration of the galaxy and their own evolving nature. The mysteries of the cultivators and the true purpose of this ancient vessel lay ahead, waiting to be unraveled. The mysteries of the cultivators and the true purpose of this ancient vessel lay ahead, waiting to be unraveled. As Benjamin and his team stepped deeper into the seed ship, they marveled at the intricate biomechanical systems surrounding them. Their exploration was cut short by a sudden lurch that sent them stumbling. Admiral Hawthorne's voice crackled over the comms, urgency evident in his tone. "All personnel, return to the Sycorax immediately. We've detected a massive gravitational anomaly approaching our position." Benjamin exchanged quick glances with his teammates. "You heard the Admiral. Let's move." They raced back through the organic corridors, the seed ship's interior seeming to pulse with increased activity. As they boarded the Sycorax, Benjamin felt the deck plates vibrating beneath his feet. Admiral Hawthorne's expression was grim as they entered the bridge. "The anomaly is causing severe turbulence in the asteroid field. We need to establish a physical link between our ships to navigate this disturbance." Benjamin nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. "Lita and I can lead a team to construct biomechanical tethers. We'll use the Sycorax's new organic hull to connect with the seed ship's structure." As they set to work, the intensity of the gravitational disturbance increased. Large asteroids collided with both ships' shields, each impact reverberating through the hull. Benjamin felt the strain in his muscles as he helped guide the growing tethers, his enhanced physiology allowing him to interface directly with the organic components. Lita worked alongside him, her fingers dancing over control panels as she fine-tuned the connection. "The tethers are stable," she reported. "We're ready to initiate the synchronized maneuver." Admiral Hawthorne's voice echoed through the ship. "All non-essential personnel, secure yourselves in the inner chambers. We're about to navigate through some rough territory." Benjamin braced himself as the Sycorax's organic propulsion systems roared to life, pulsating in perfect harmony with the seed ship's massive biomechanical engines. The coordinated effort created a shimmering energy field around both vessels, allowing them to weave through the chaotic debris with astonishing agility. As they plunged deeper into the gravitational anomaly, Benjamin noticed strange new growths forming along the tethers. The organic components of both ships were merging more completely than anticipated, creating an unplanned integration of their systems. Suddenly, alarms blared across the Sycorax. Lita's eyes widened as she scanned the readouts. The data transfer between Nexus and the Seed ship's AI is overloading our systems. Benjamin watched in horror as multiple control panels went dark. Emergency lighting bathed the bridge in an eerie red glow as Nexus initiated its shutdown protocols. "We've lost main power," an ensign shouted. "Rerouting to life support and essential functions." Benjamin locked eyes with Lita, a silent understanding passing between them. Without hesitation, they moved to the nearest organic control nodes, pressing their palms against the pulsating surfaces. Their enhanced hybrid abilities allowed them to interface directly with the ship's systems, manually guiding the vessel through the intensifying gravitational disturbance. Benjamin felt the ship's consciousness merge with his own, data streaming through his mind at an overwhelming pace. He gritted his teeth, focusing on maintaining their trajectory as the anomaly's pull grew stronger. Through their shared connection, he sensed Lita's strain as she worked to stabilize the ship's structural integrity. The gravitational forces were tearing at the outer layers of both vessels, threatening to breach their hulls. "Dr. Zarlok to the bridge," Lita called out, her voice strained. "We need a way to reinforce our structure, or we won't make it through this." As the doctor's team worked feverishly in the newly formed biomechanical lab, Benjamin felt the ship shudder around him. The distorted space-time at the heart of the anomaly was pushing their defenses to the limit. Just when it seemed the hull would buckle, Dr. Zarlok's voice crackled over the comms. "We've developed a reinforcement method using Harmonian energy manipulation and cultivator bioengineering, but we'll need the hybrid crew members to act as conduits for the stabilizing energy." Benjamin nodded grimly. "We're on it, Doctor. Guide us through the process." He and Lita, along with Lieutenant Kira and Zorn, positioned themselves at key junctions throughout both ships. As they channeled the immense power required for the reinforcement, Benjamin felt his body changing. His skin took on a slight iridescent sheen, and he could sense his neural pathways reconfiguring to handle the energy flow. Through the view screen, Benjamin saw the source of their torment, a collapsed star surrounded by a swirling accretion disk of super-dense matter. Its gravitational pull was inexorable, dragging both ships toward what seemed like certain doom. Admiral Hawthorne's voice cut through the chaos. "We need to break free. Initiate the Seed ship's ecosystem generation protocol. It's our only chance." As Gaia, the Seed ship's AI, began the process, Benjamin watched in awe as a dense cloud of organic matter and energy formed around both vessels. The newly created buffer absorbed much of the gravitational force, giving them the momentum needed to slingshot around the collapsed star. The maneuver pushed both ships and crew to their limits. Benjamin felt as if his very atoms were being torn apart and reassembled. Through his connection with the ship, he sensed massive structural changes occurring as the Sycorax and the Seed ship became even more intertwined. As they emerged on the other side of the anomaly, Benjamin released his hold on the organic control node, his legs buckling beneath him. He looked up to see the astonished faces of his crewmates, realizing that his appearance had noticeably changed during the ordeal. Admiral Hawthorne's voice, tinged with a mix of awe and concern, filled the bridge. "Status report. What's our situation?" Benjamin struggled to his feet, taking in the transformed interior of what had once been the Sycorax. "Admiral," he said, his voice hoarse, "I think we've got a new ship to get acquainted with." Benjamin blinked, his vision adjusting to the transformed interior of the ship. The once familiar bridge had melded with organic structures, creating a seamless blend of technology and biology. He turned to Admiral Hawthorne, his voice steady despite the fatigue evident in his posture. "Admiral, we need to assess our situation and gather the crew. The ship, it's not just the Sycorax anymore." Hawthorne nodded, her eyes scanning the new environment. "Agreed. Let's convene in the largest available space. We need to address everyone at once." As if responding to their thoughts, the ship's organic components shifted, revealing a pathway to a newly formed central chamber. The crew made their way through the pulsating corridors, marveling at the intricate biomechanical systems that now surrounded them. Upon entering the vast chamber, Benjamin and Lita stepped forward to address the assembled crew. The gathered personnel gasped audibly, taking in the couple's altered appearance. Subtle, bioluminescent patterns danced beneath their skin, and their facial features had subtly shifted, blending human and Gorn characteristics. Benjamin cleared his throat, his voice carrying clearly through the organic acoustics of the chamber. Crew of the... Well, I suppose we'll need a new name for our ship. We've undergone a transformation unlike anything in recorded history. Our vessel has merged with the seed ship, creating a hybrid entity with capabilities we're only beginning to understand. Lita continued, her eyes scanning the crowd. Many of us have experienced physical changes as well. We're evolving, adapting to our new environment and the advanced technologies we've encountered. Dr. Zarlok will provide more details on these developments shortly. Admiral Hawthorne stepped forward, her authoritative presence drawing all eyes. While our situation is unprecedented, our mission remains clear. We will explore, we will learn, and we will adapt. I propose we investigate the nearby cluster of potentially habitable planets. It's time we put our new capabilities to the test. The Admiral outlined her plan, assigning teams to various tasks. Captain Zixnor voiced his support, emphasizing the importance of unity in the face of their challenges. As the assembly progressed, Dr. Zarlok presented her findings on the crew's accelerated hybridization process. The high-energy events we've experienced, combined with exposure to advanced technologies, have triggered rapid genetic changes, Dr. Zarlok explained. Those who participated in the bonding experiments are showing the most pronounced alterations. I recommend establishing a dedicated medical bay to monitor and study these ongoing transformations. As the doctor spoke, the ship continued to shift around them. New passages formed, connecting previously separate sections, while others sealed off. The Harmonian representative offered its assistance in stabilizing the more volatile areas using its energy manipulation abilities. Following the assembly, Benjamin and Lita led a team to the newly formed navigation center. The biomechanical controls pulsed with life as they approached. Benjamin placed his hand on a console, feeling a surge of information flow through his mind. It's incredible, he murmured to Lita. I can sense the ship's systems, almost like they're an extension of my own body. Lita nodded, her fingers dancing over an organic interface. I feel it too. Let's see if we can plot a course to the nearest potentially habitable planet. Their enhanced abilities allowed them to intuitively manipulate the complex organic systems. The massive hybrid vessel responded to their commands, smoothly altering its trajectory towards their chosen destination. Meanwhile, in a newly formed science lab, Dr. Alara Vex and her team analyzed data from the gravitational anomaly they had narrowly escaped. The scientist's eyes widened as she studied the readouts. These energy signatures, she muttered, they suggest the presence of artificially created wormholes in the region. But the scale, it's almost unimaginable. As the hybrid ship approached the first planet in the cluster, its long-range sensors detected signs of artificial structures on the surface. Admiral Hawthorne's voice echoed through the organic communication systems. Deploy a reconnaissance drone. Let's get a closer look at what we're dealing with. The drone, now enhanced with biomechanical components, launched from a newly formed organic hangar bay. As it transmitted data back to the ship, excitement rippled through the crew. The planet's surface was dotted with ruins bearing striking similarities to both ancient human and Gorn architecture. Benjamin and Lita exchanged glances, a silent conversation passing between them. They approached Admiral Hawthorne, who was studying the drone's findings with intense focus. Admiral, Benjamin said, Lita and I volunteer to lead the landing party. Our hybrid physiology should help us adapt to any potential environmental hazards. Hawthorne considered for a moment before nodding. Agreed. Assemble your team and prepare for planetfall. This could be the key to understanding our connection to the cultivators. As Benjamin and Lita coordinated the complex preparations for the mission, they noticed their mental connection had deepened. Words became unnecessary as they communicated through thoughts and impressions, their hybrid minds in perfect sync. The landing team gathered in the hybrid ship's newly formed atmospheric entry vehicle, a biomechanical craft that seemed to pulse with anticipation. As they began their descent towards the alien world, the craft's organic hull reacted to the planet's atmosphere, forming a protective cocoon around them. Benjamin felt a mix of excitement and apprehension as they neared the surface. Whatever they discovered on this world could change their understanding of galactic history and their own origins forever. The hybrid ship's advanced sensors continued to scan the planet, searching for any potential threats or hidden wonders that awaited them below. As the hybrid ship's sensors continued to scan the planet, the landing team's organic shuttle smoothly detached from the main vessel. Benjamin felt a surge of anticipation as they began their descent towards the mysterious ruins below. The biomechanical craft pulsed and shifted, adapting to the planet's atmosphere as they neared the surface. Through the shuttle's viewing membrane, Benjamin and Lita watched as the ancient structures grew larger, their intricate designs becoming clearer with each passing moment. "Look at those patterns," Lita said, her voice filled with awe. "They're unlike anything I've ever seen, yet somehow familiar." Benjamin nodded, feeling the same sense of recognition. "It's as if they're speaking to us on a cellular level." As the shuttle touched down on the planet's surface, the team emerged, their hybrid bodies instinctively adjusting to the new environment. The air was thick with an earthy scent, and a faint humming vibrated through the ground beneath their feet. Benjamin led the way towards the nearest structure, his enhanced senses on high alert. As they approached, the ruins seemed to come alive, responding to their presence. Intricate patterns etched into the stone began to glow with a soft, pulsating light. "It's reacting to us," Dr. Zarlock observed, her scientific curiosity piqued. "These structures must have some form of biorecognition technology." Lita placed her hand on one of the glowing patterns, and suddenly, a holographic projection materialized before them. The image flickered and stabilized, revealing a being that appeared to be a perfect blend of various species. "Greetings, children of the stars," the hologram spoke, its voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "We are the cultivators, shapers of life, and guardians of diversity. If you are witnessing this message, then our great work continues through you." The team listened intently as the holographic cultivator explained their mission to seed the galaxy with life, creating hybrid species capable of adapting to any environment. However, the being's expression grew somber as it continued. "But beware, for a great threat looms on the horizon. We have prepared defenses, but the future of our creation now rests in your hands." As the message concluded, the ground beneath them trembled. The team watched in astonishment as a massive structure began to rise from beneath the surface, dwarfing the ruins around them. Benjamin quickly activated his communication link with the ship. "Admiral Hawthorne, we've made contact with a cultivator message and something big is happening down here." Admiral Hawthorne's voice crackled through the link, tinged with concern. "We're detecting massive energy fluctuations from your location. What's your status?" "We're unharmed," Benjamin reported, "but a structure of immense proportions has just emerged. It appears to be some kind of facility. We'll need time to investigate." "Proceed with caution," Hawthorne ordered. "We'll maintain orbit and continue monitoring the situation. Keep us updated on any developments." As the dust settled, the team approached the newly revealed facility. Its biomechanical design mirrored that of their own hybrid ship, suggesting a deep connection between the cultivator's technology and their own transformation. Dr. Zarlock's eyes widened as she scanned the structure with her hybrid-enhanced tricorder. "The energy signatures, they're remarkably similar to the artifacts we found in the asteroid field. This facility could be the key to understanding our own evolution." Benjamin and Lita exchanged glances, their deepened mental connection allowing them to communicate without words. They both sensed the importance of this discovery and the potential dangers it might hold. "Admiral," Benjamin said, his voice steady despite the gravity of the situation, "Lita and I volunteer to lead a second expedition into the facility. Our hybrid physiology might give us an advantage in navigating whatever we find inside." There was a moment of silence before Hawthorne responded. "Approved, but I want a larger team with you. Assemble a group of our most adaptable personnel and proceed with extreme caution." As Benjamin and Lita prepared for their second descent to the planet's surface, Dr. Ilara Vex approached them with her findings. The energy patterns we're detecting suggest this structure might be more than just a single outpost. It could be part of a larger network spanning multiple star systems. The implications of her words hung heavy in the air as the team boarded their organic shuttle once more. As they descended towards the imposing facility, Benjamin couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the precipice of a discovery that would change the course of galactic history. The shuttle's biomechanical systems hummed in harmony with the energy field surrounding the facility, allowing for a seamless approach. As they touched down, Benjamin took a deep breath, steeling himself for whatever lay ahead. "Remember," he addressed the team, "we're not just explorers anymore. We're the bridge between our past and a future we're only beginning to understand. Let's make every step count." With those words, Benjamin and Lita led the way towards the facility's entrance, their hybrid bodies resonating with the ancient yet familiar technology that surrounded them. As the massive doors began to part, revealing a glimpse of the wonders and potential danger that awaited them, the team stepped forward into the unknown, ready to unravel the mysteries of their own existence and the fate of the galactic realm itself. As Benjamin and Lita led the team into the imposing cultivator facility, the air thrummed with an otherworldly energy. The biomechanical walls pulsed with life, responding to their presence. They had barely begun to explore when a shrill alarm pierced the air, causing everyone to freeze in their tracks. "What's happening?" Dr. Zarlok demanded, her fingers flying over her hybrid-enhanced tricorder. Benjamin's enhanced senses picked up a faint tremor in the ground. "Something's coming," he said, his voice tight with tension. Lita's eyes widened as she accessed the facility's systems through her newfound connection. "It's a Devourer scout ship," she announced, her voice filled with urgency. They must have detected the facility's activation. The team exchanged worried glances, the gravity of the situation sinking in. They had inadvertently alerted their greatest enemy to their presence. "We need to act fast," Benjamin said, taking charge. "We can't let the Devourers get their hands on this technology." Without hesitation, Benjamin and Lita moved to the central console, their hybrid physiology allowing them to interface directly with the cultivator systems. Their fingers danced over the organic controls as they began downloading critical data about cultivator technology and hybrid creation processes to portable biomechanical storage devices. "Dr. Sarlach, coordinate with the security team," Lita ordered as she worked. "We need to be ready to move out at a moment's notice." As the download neared completion, Benjamin initiated an emergency shutdown sequence for the facility. The lights dimmed, and the humming energy that had permeated the air began to fade. "That should conceal its reactivation from the Devourers," he said, disconnecting from the console. "Let's move." The team raced through the dimming corridors, their hybrid bodies allowing them to navigate the rapidly changing environment with ease. As they approached the exit, they encountered an unexpected sight. A group of newly awakened hybrid beings, their eyes wide with confusion and fear. Dr. Zarlok stepped forward, her scientific curiosity piqued despite the urgency of their situation. "We can't leave them behind," she argued. "Their knowledge and abilities could be invaluable to our mission." Benjamin hesitated for a split second before nodding. "Agreed. But we can only take those who are willing to come with us." In a flurry of quick explanations and decisions, a small group of the hybrids agreed to join them. The expanded team rushed to the organic shuttle, the ground beneath their feet beginning to tremble as the massive cultivator structure started to sink back into the planet's surface. As they boarded the shuttle, Benjamin cast one last look at the disappearing facility. The once imposing structure was now barely visible, leaving little trace of its existence. With a mixture of relief and regret, he sealed the shuttle door. The organic craft pulsed with energy as it launched from the planet's surface, its systems straining to accommodate the additional passengers. As they ascended through the atmosphere, the team watched in awe as the last traces of the cultivator facility vanished beneath the planet's crust. "Admiral Hawthorne," Benjamin called through the communication link, "we're returning to the ship with critical data and some unexpected guests. Be advised, there's a Devourer scout ship approaching our position." Hawthorne's voice crackled through the link, tense but controlled. "Understood. We're tracking the scout on our long-range sensors. Prepare for immediate departure upon your return. We'll need to execute evasive maneuvers. As the shuttle docked with the hybrid ship, the crew sprang into action. Benjamin and Lita rushed to the bridge, while Dr. Zarlok led the newly rescued hybrids to a secure area for debriefing and medical examination. On the bridge, Admiral Hawthorne stood at the command center, her posture rigid with concentration. "Status report," she barked as Benjamin and Lita took their positions. "The Devourer scout is closing fast," the sensor operator announced. "Estimated time to intercept, 10 minutes. Hawthorne's eyes narrowed. "Initiate evasive maneuvers. Push our new propulsion systems to their limits." As if responding to the urgency of the moment, the hybrid ship's biomechanical systems began to evolve. New organic propulsion pods grew rapidly from the hull, pulsing with energy. Benjamin placed his hands on the navigation console, feeling the ship's systems flow through him. "Admiral, we've got enhanced speed and maneuverability. The ship is adapting to our needs." "Excellent," Hawthorne nodded. "Plot a course out of the system. We need to lead the Devourers away from the cultivator facility and buy time for reinforcements." As the hybrid ship accelerated, leaving the mysterious planet behind, Dr. Zarlok's voice came through the intercom. "Admiral, we've begun processing the data from the cultivator facility. The information on hybridization techniques is extraordinary. With your permission, I'd like to begin a series of controlled experiments to enhance our capabilities further." Hawthorne hesitated, weighing the potential benefits against the risks. Finally, she gave a curt nod. "Approved, Doctor, but proceed with caution. We're venturing into unknown territory here." As the ship pushed deeper into space, the crew worked tirelessly to integrate their new knowledge and capabilities. Benjamin and Lita, their bodies still evolving from their exposure to cultivator technology, volunteered to undergo further hybridization procedures. The hybrid ship's long-range sensors suddenly flared to life, detecting a fleet of Devourer vessels entering the star system. The atmosphere on the bridge tensed as the gravity of their situation became clear. "They're coming in force," Lita said, her voice tight. "We've triggered a large-scale response." Hawthorne's expression resolute as she surveyed the tactical display. "We can't outrun them forever. We need a plan." As if in answer to her words, the ship's sensors detected a dense asteroid field ahead. Benjamin's eyes lit up with an idea. "Admiral, if we can navigate through that field, we might be able to lose them. Our enhanced maneuverability gives us an advantage." Hawthorne nodded, a grim smile on her face. "Make it happen, Navigator. All hands prepare for evasive maneuvers. This is going to be a rough ride." As the hybrid ship plunged into the asteroid field, the pursuing Devourer fleet close behind, the crew braced themselves for the challenges ahead. The ship's organic components continued to adapt and evolve, growing new weapon systems from the hull. Benjamin and Lita, their hybridization process now complete, took charge of the ship's defensive systems. Their enhanced abilities allowed them to anticipate Devourer attack patterns with uncanny accuracy. The battle was joined as the hybrid ship weaved through the asteroid field, its newly grown biomechanical cannons firing at the pursuing Devourers. The space around them lit up with weapons fire and exploding asteroids, creating a chaotic, deadly dance. As the conflict intensified, a massive energy vortex suddenly appeared in space ahead of the hybrid ship. The swirling anomaly pulsed with unknown power, offering both potential salvation and unimaginable risk. Admiral Hawthorne's voice cut through the chaos on the bridge. "Helm, set a course for that vortex. It's our best chance of escape." As the ship approached the swirling anomaly, Benjamin and Lita used their enhanced abilities to interface directly with the ship's systems, their minds working in perfect synchronization to stabilize the vessel's structure. "All hands, brace for transit," Hawthorne called out as the hybrid ship plunged into the energy vortex, the fabric of space-time bending around them. For a moment, reality itself seemed to warp and twist. The crew experienced a disorienting sensation of being everywhere and nowhere at once. Then, with a sudden lurch, the ship burst out of the vortex into an unfamiliar star system. As the disorientation faded, Benjamin and Lita looked at each other, their eyes wide with a mixture of relief and apprehension. They had escaped the immediate threat, but now found themselves in uncharted territory, facing an uncertain future. The hybrid ship hung in space, its systems humming with newly evolved power. As Admiral Hawthorne began issuing orders to assess their situation, Benjamin and Lita knew that their journey was just getting started. The data they had acquired, the new hybrids they had rescued, and their own enhanced abilities all held the promise of new discoveries and challenges. As the crew set about determining their location and the ship's condition, Benjamin and Lita shared a silent moment of connection. Their enhanced senses tingled with the potential of what lay ahead, ready to face whatever this unknown region of space might hold. Throw at them. Their journey had only just begun, and the mysteries of the cosmos awaited their exploration. As the hybrid ship stabilized in the unknown star system, Benjamin and Lita felt a sudden tingling sensation coursing through their enhanced bodies. Their heightened senses picked up on an anomaly within the ship's newly formed organic structure. "Do you feel that?" Lita asked, her eyes scanning the bridge. Benjamin nodded, his brow furrowed in concentration. "It's coming from this way." The pair moved in unison, their movements fluid and precise as they navigated through the ship's corridors. The organic walls pulsed with life, responding to their presence. As they approached a section of the ship that had recently undergone rapid evolution, Benjamin placed his hand on the wall. The organic material shifted and parted, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside, they discovered a cache of advanced cultivator technology. Portable devices, each pulsing with an otherworldly energy, lay neatly arranged within the organic recess. Benjamin carefully lifted one of the devices, its surface responding to his touch with a soft glow. "Admiral," Lita called through the ship's communication system, "we've found something you need to see." Admiral Hawthorne arrived moments later, her eyes widening at the sight of the cultivator tech. After a brief examination and consultation with Dr. Zarlok, she made a decision. "We'll use these devices to enhance our capabilities," Hawthorne declared. "We need every advantage we can get against the Devourers." Dr. Zarlok wasted no time in establishing a dedicated laboratory to study and implement the cultivator technology. The newly evolved hybrid beings from the facility proved invaluable, their innate understanding of the tech accelerating the research process. As the experiments progressed, the crew underwent carefully controlled enhancements. Benjamin and Lita, already highly evolved, experienced further transformations. Their ability to interface with the ship's biomechanical systems reached new heights, allowing them to control multiple systems simultaneously with mere thoughts. Amidst the flurry of activity, the ship's long-range sensors detected a nearby planet with signs of advanced civilization. Admiral Hawthorne called a meeting to discuss the discovery. "We need to investigate this planet," she said, her voice firm. "It could provide us with valuable resources or allies." Benjamin and Lita volunteered to lead the reconnaissance mission. They were joined by Zara, one of the most highly evolved hybrids from the cultivator facility. Her unique perspective and abilities would prove invaluable in first contact situations. The team boarded a newly grown organic shuttle, its systems and seamless extension of their own enhanced bodies. As they descended towards the planet's surface, they marveled at the sprawling cities below. The architecture was unlike anything they had ever seen, a harmonious blend of biological and technological design. "Activating cloaking systems," Benjamin announced as they approached a secluded landing zone outside one of the major urban centers. The shuttle touched down silently, its organic exterior shifting to mimic the surrounding vegetation. As the team disembarked, they were immediately struck by the planet's unique atmosphere. The air hummed with an energy that resonated with their hybrid physiology. They didn't have to wait long for their first encounter. A group of the planet's inhabitants emerged from a nearby structure, their movements cautious but curious. The aliens, with their seamless blend of organic and synthetic components, regarded the team with obvious interest. One of the aliens, a female with iridescent skin and eyes that seemed to glow with an inner light, stepped forward. "I am Lyra," she said, her voice carrying a melodic quality. "We are the Cynthians. Your arrival has been unexpected." Benjamin stepped forward, extending his hand in a gesture of peace. "I'm Benjamin. We come from a distant part of the galaxy, seeking knowledge and allies. Lyra's eyes narrowed slightly as she studied the team. Your physiology, it bears similarities to our own, yet it is different. You carry the mark of the cultivators. The mention of the cultivators sent a ripple of excitement through the team. Lita spoke up, her voice filled with curiosity. You know of the cultivators? Lyra nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. We are their descendants, in a way. Come, there is much we have to discuss. The team followed Lyra and her companions to a massive structure at the heart of the city. As they entered, Benjamin and Lita instinctively reached out with their enhanced abilities, interfacing with the alien technology around them. The connection was instantaneous, flooding their minds with data. Fascinating, Lyra murmured, observing their interaction with the Synthian systems. Your integration capabilities are remarkable. As they delved deeper into the facility, Lyra explained the history of the Synthians. They were the result of a group of cultivators who had chosen to merge with their creations, seeking a new path of evolution to combat the Devourer threat. The team shared their own experiences, detailing their encounters with cultivator technology and their ongoing conflict with the Devourers. Lyra listened intently, her expression growing more serious with each passing moment. We have developed defensive technologies that have repelled several Devourer incursions, she revealed. We would be willing to share this technology with you in exchange for access to your cultivator data and hybridization techniques. Before they could delve further into negotiations, an urgent communication came through from the hybrid ship. Admiral Hawthorne's voice crackled with tension. The Devourer fleet has tracked us through the vortex, she reported. They're approaching the system rapidly. Return to the ship immediately. Lyra's expression hardened at the news. Without hesitation, she turned to her companions. Activate the planetary defense grid. We stand with our new allies. As Benjamin, Lita, and Zara rushed back to their shuttle, the planet around them came alive with activity. Massive, organic synthetic cannons emerged from hidden locations, their presence a testament to the Synthians' preparedness. The team's shuttle streaked through the atmosphere, racing to rejoin the hybrid ship. As they ascended, they witnessed the awesome display of Synthian firepower as the defense grid engaged the first wave of Devourer vessels. Aboard the hybrid ship, Benjamin and Lita immediately set to work integrating the Synthian defensive technology. The vessel's organic hull pulsed and shifted, growing new structures to house the powerful weapons. Admiral Hawthorne stood at the command center, her posture rigid as she coordinated with the Synthian defense forces. The hybrid ship moved into position alongside a group of Synthian vessels, forming a defensive line around the planet. Benjamin and Lita took their positions, their minds melding seamlessly with the ship's systems. The newly integrated weapons hummed with power, ready to unleash their full potential against the approaching Devourer fleet. As the first enemy ships entered weapons range, Benjamin and Lita acted in perfect synchronization. The hybrid ship's organic components pulsed with energy as it unleashed its full arsenal, combining cultivator, Synthian, and its own evolved technology. The space around the planet erupted into a dazzling display of biomechanical warfare. Energy beams and organic projectiles tore through the Devourer formations, creating a chaotic dance of destruction against the backdrop of stars. Despite the ferocity of the defense, more Devourer ships continued to pour into the system. The hybrid ship demonstrated remarkable agility under Benjamin and Lita's expert guidance, destroying multiple enemy vessels while sustaining minimal damage. In the ship's laboratory, Dr. Zarlok and her team worked feverishly, using the cultivator devices to make rapid adjustments to the crew's genetic structure. These modifications allowed for even better integration with the ship's systems and improved resistance to Devourer weapons. As the battle raged on, Admiral Hawthorne's voice cut through the chaos on the bridge. We're turning the tide, but they keep coming. We need to end this decisively. She outlined a bold plan to penetrate deep into the heart of the Devourer formation and deliver a crippling blow to their command structure. The strategy relied heavily on the hybrid ship's unique abilities and the enhanced skills of its crew. Benjamin and Lita underwent one final round of genetic enhancements, their bodies transforming further. New organs developed, allowing for even greater control over the ship's biomechanical systems. Their mental link deepened, enabling them to coordinate the ship's actions with unprecedented precision. With preparations complete, Admiral Hawthorne gave the order to execute the final assault. The hybrid ship disengaged from the defensive line, its newly evolved systems pushing to their limits as it accelerated toward the center of the Devourer fleet. Benjamin and Lita's minds merged completely with the ship's consciousness, their enhanced bodies becoming one with the vessel. As they plunged deeper into enemy territory, the couple's shared consciousness calculated and executed maneuvers with inhuman speed and accuracy. The hybrid ship weaved through the Devourer formation, its advanced weapons leaving a trail of destruction in its wake. Each movement was precisely calculated, each shot perfectly placed to cause maximum damage to the enemy fleet. As they neared the heart of the Devourer formation, Benjamin and Lita could sense the presence of the enemy command ship. Its massive form loomed before them, a grotesque amalgamation of organic and mechanical components that dwarfed even the largest Devourer vessels. The hybrid ship's weapon systems reconfigured, drawing power from every available source. Benjamin and Lita focused their combined will, channeling the ship's energy into a single devastating attack. A beam of pure energy, infused with the combined power of cultivator, Synthian, and hybrid technology, erupted from the ship. It struck the Devourer command vessel with pinpoint accuracy, piercing through its defenses and striking at its very core. The massive enemy ship shuddered, secondary explosions rippling across its surface. As the Devourer command structure crumbled, chaos spread through their fleet. The tide of battle shifted dramatically in favor of the defenders. Benjamin and Lita, still merged with the ship's consciousness, sensed the change in the enemy's tactics. The Devourer fleet, now without central command, began to fragment and retreat. As the hybrid ship turned to pursue the fleeing enemy, Admiral Hawthorne's voice cut through their shared consciousness. "Well done, you two, but this isn't over yet. We need to press our advantage and ensure the Devourers can't regroup." With renewed commitment, Benjamin and Lita guided the hybrid ship back into the fray. The vessel's organic hull pulsed with energy, its weapon systems reconfiguring for the next phase of the battle. As they engaged the retreating Devourer forces, the couple knew that this victory, while significant, was just the beginning of their fight against the cosmic threat that loomed over the galaxy. The hybrid ship's engines thrummed with renewed energy as it accelerated towards the heart of the Devourer fleet. Benjamin and Lita's connection with the vessel deepened, their newly evolved physiology allowing for unprecedented control over the ship's biomechanical systems. As they plunged into the fray, their minds merged completely with the ship's consciousness, every thought translating instantly into action. The organic hull pulsed and shifted, temporary openings appearing and disappearing in rapid succession. Through these gaps, advanced weaponry emerged, unleashing devastating attacks on the surrounding Devourer vessels. Each strike was calculated with inhuman precision, disabling key enemy ships and carving a path towards the imposing Devourer command structure. Inside the ship, Dr. Zarlok and her team worked feverishly, their fingers flying over control panels as they implemented real-time genetic modifications. The crew's bodies adapted on a cellular level, becoming more resilient to the intense G-forces and radiation produced by their high-speed maneuvers. "Structural integrity at 89% and holding," reported a technician, his voice tight with concentration. Dr. Zarlok nodded, her eyes never leaving the streams of data flowing across her screens. "Maintain current enhancement protocols. We need to push the limits of human endurance." As the hybrid ship penetrated deeper into enemy territory, the Devourer vessels intensified their assault. Energy beams and organic projectiles bombarded the ship from all sides, forcing Benjamin and Lita to divert more power to their defensive systems. The organic hull absorbed and redistributed the incoming energy, its surface rippling like water. Despite their efforts, the strain on the ship's systems began to mount. Zara, leading a team of hybrid beings from the cultivator facility, moved swiftly through the ship's corridors. They positioned themselves at critical junctions, their enhanced abilities allowing them to reinforce weakened areas and repair damage in real time. "Rerouting power to Sector 7, Zara called out, her hands pressed against a pulsing wall. Energy flowed from her body into the ship's structure, stabilizing a fluctuating shield generator. On the bridge, Admiral Hawthorne's voice cut through the chaos. "Cynthian forces are engaging the enemy's flank. Press forward." Benjamin and Lita responded instantly, guiding the ship through a series of complex evasive maneuvers. The vessel twisted and turned, its organic components reconfiguring to streamline its form. They dodged incoming fire with preternatural skill, all while maintaining their offensive capabilities. As they closed in on the massive Devourer command vessel, Benjamin and Lita initiated a daring strategy. The hybrid ship extended tendrils of biomechanical matter, latching onto the enemy vessel's hull. These protrusions began to interface with the Devourer ship's systems, attempting to disrupt its operations. The moment the connection was established, a surge of energy coursed through the hybrid vessel. Benjamin and Lita's enhanced bodies acted as conduits, processing the flood of information streaming from the Devourer command systems. Images and data flashed through their shared consciousness, schematics of Devourer technology, strategic battle plans, and the locations of critical weak points in the enemy's defenses. "We have access," Benjamin's voice resonated through the ship's communication system, strained but triumphant. "Transmitting tactical data to all Allied forces." Lita's consciousness merged with the ship's targeting systems, guiding a series of precise strikes against the Devourer command vessel. Each attack exploited a newly discovered vulnerability, causing cascading failures throughout the enemy ship. The Devourer fleet's formation began to falter as their command structure crumbled. Cynthian forces, coordinating with Admiral Hawthorne, launched a massive counteroffensive, exploiting the enemy's growing confusion. As the tide of battle turned, the hybrid ship maintained its connection to the Devourer command vessel, continuously siphoning data and disrupting enemy operations. Benjamin and Lita's enhanced abilities allowed them to process and distribute this information to Allied forces in real time, providing a crucial tactical advantage. However, the prolonged high-intensity combat began to take its toll on the hybrid ship. Its organic systems showed signs of strain, fluctuations rippling through its structure. Benjamin and Lita, their bodies pushed to their limits, struggled to maintain control over the increasingly unstable systems. Admiral Hawthorne's voice crackled over the communication channels, urgency evident in her tone. "Disengage from the enemy vessel and retreat to a safe distance. We can't risk losing the ship." Benjamin and Lita acknowledged the order and began the process of severing the biomechanical connection. To their shock, they encountered unexpected resistance. The link between the two ships had grown stronger than anticipated, and attempts to separate threatened to cause severe damage to both vessels. In the laboratory, Dr. Zarlok's team worked frantically to stabilize the crew's rapidly changing physiology. Alarms blared as vital signs fluctuated dangerously. "We're losing containment on the genetic modifications," Dr. Zarlok shouted, her fingers flying over holographic controls. "We need to get them out of there now." On the bridge, Benjamin and Lita made a split-second decision. They initiated a controlled overload of the ship's energy distribution systems, channeling a massive surge of power through the connecting tendrils. The hybrid ship shuddered as energy coursed through its systems. The biomechanical link between the vessels began to destabilize, arcs of energy crackling along its length. With a final burst of shared concentration, Benjamin and Lita severed the connection. The backlash of energy triggered a chain reaction within the Devourer command vessel, its systems critically compromised by the power surge and accumulated battle damage. As the hybrid ship pulled away, the Devourer command vessel erupted in a series of explosions. The destruction of their command center sent shockwaves through the remaining enemy fleet, causing many ships to power down or attempt to flee. The hybrid ship, now free from its dangerous connection, limped back towards the Cynthian defensive line. Its organic hull bore visible scars from the intense combat, portions of its structure deformed and smoldering. Inside, Benjamin and Lita fought to maintain consciousness, their enhanced bodies drained from the ordeal. The ship's systems fluctuated wildly as they guided it towards safety, every movement a struggle against their own exhaustion and the vessel's damaged state. As they approached the Cynthian lines, Admiral Hawthorne's voice came through once more, filled with a mixture of relief and concern. "Well done, you two. Medical teams are standing by. Bring her home." The hybrid ship docked with the nearest Cynthian medical facility, its organic components pulsing weakly as it settled into place. Emergency teams rushed to stabilize the vessel and provide critical care for its crew. As Benjamin and Lita were carefully extracted from their control interfaces, the full extent of their physiological changes became apparent. Dr. Zarlok and her team worked tirelessly to understand and manage the rapid evolution they had undergone. The victory had come at a great cost, but it had also opened new possibilities. As the crew began their recovery, the vast amount of intelligence gathered from the Devourer command vessel promised new advancements in their fight against the cosmic threat. The hybrid ship, once a marvel of integrated alien technologies, now required extensive repairs and reconstruction. But as the Cynthian engineers began their work, they marveled at the vessel's resilience and adaptability. It had survived an ordeal that would have destroyed any conventional ship, a testament to the power of the combined cultivator, Cynthian, and human technologies. As the immediate crisis passed, Admiral Hawthorne turned her attention to the future. The battle had been won, but the war against the Devourers was just getting started. She knew that the information they had gained, combined with their newfound alliance with the Cynthians, could change the course of the conflict. With Benjamin and Lita undergoing intensive medical care in the ship and repairs, the Admiral began to formulate plans for their next move. The Devourers had been dealt a significant blow, but they would undoubtedly regroup and return with even greater force. As she looked out at the stars from the medical station's observation deck, Admiral Hawthorne's mind raced with possibilities. The hybrid ship and its crew had proven themselves beyond all expectations, but she knew that even greater challenges lay ahead. The next phase of their journey would require all of their enhanced abilities, newfound knowledge, and unwavering perseverance to face the evolving threat that still loomed in the depths of space. As the hybrid ship settled into its docking port at the Cynthian medical station, emergency teams swarmed around its battered hull. The vessel's organic components pulsed weakly, its biomechanical systems strained from the intense battle. Inside, Benjamin and Lita lay motionless, their bodies racked with tremors as their enhanced physiology continued to evolve. Medical personnel rushed to their aid, carefully extracting them from their control interfaces. Dr. Zarlok barked orders as she led the team through the ship's corridors. "Get them to the specialized treatment facility immediately. We need to stabilize their cellular structure before the changes progress any further." The couple was swiftly transferred to a state-of-the-art medical bay, where a team of Cynthian and human experts awaited. Dr. Zarlok wasted no time, activating a series of holographic displays that showed real-time scans of Benjamin and Lita's bodies. "Initiating stabilization protocol," a Cynthian medical officer announced, his fingers dancing across a biosynthetic control panel. Beams of soft blue light enveloped the patients, slowing the rapid cellular mutations. Dr. Zarlok studied the data streaming across her screens. "Their neural pathways are reconfiguring at an unprecedented rate. We need to guide this process to prevent cognitive damage." As the medical team worked tirelessly, Benjamin and Lita's bodies continued to change. Their skin took on a subtle, iridescent sheen, and their muscles visibly densified. New organs began to form, perfectly adapted to interface with advanced biomechanical systems. Hours passed as Dr. Zarlok and her team fought to control the evolutionary process. They utilized a combination of cultivator technology and Cynthian medical advancements, carefully balancing the need for stabilization with the potential benefits of these enhancements. Meanwhile, in another section of the medical station, Admiral Hawthorne met with Cynthian leadership. The room buzzed with activity as holographic displays showed the ongoing analysis of data retrieved from the Devourer command vessel. "Our initial findings are concerning," a Cynthian scientist reported, gesturing to a star map dotted with ominous red markers. "We've detected evidence of a massive Devourer fleet gathering in this sector. Their invasion plans are far more extensive than we initially believed." Admiral Hawthorne's expression hardened. "We need to act quickly. How soon can we establish a defensive network? A Cynthian admiral stepped forward. We propose a joint task force to implement a system of early warning outposts. With your hybrid ship as the centerpiece, we could create a formidable defensive line. As discussions continued, work on the hybrid ship progressed at a feverish pace. Zara and her team of hybrid beings from the cultivator facility moved through the vessel, their hands pressed against its living walls. Under their guidance, new defensive structures began to grow along the hull, incorporating elements of Cynthian technology. Cynthian engineers worked alongside the ship's organic systems, marveling at its ability to adapt and evolve. They integrated their biosynthetic advancements, enhancing the vessel's weapons, sensors, and propulsion systems. Days passed as the various teams worked around the clock. In the medical bay, Benjamin and Lita's conditions finally stabilized. They awoke to find their bodies transformed, their senses sharper than ever before. Dr. Zarlok approached their beds, her expression a mixture of excitement and concern. "How do you feel?" Benjamin flexed his hand, watching as his skin shimmered with an otherworldly glow. "Different. Powerful." Lita nodded, her eyes meeting Benjamin's. In that moment, their mental link surged, thoughts and emotions flowing between them with startling clarity. "Your physiological changes have stabilized," Dr. Zarlok explained, "but you'll need time to adjust to your new abilities. We've prepared a specialized training program to help you master these enhancements." As Benjamin and Lita began their recovery, Admiral Hawthorne set the next phase of their mission in motion. She ordered the preparation of long-range probes equipped with advanced Cynthian cloaking technology. "These probes will gather crucial intelligence on the Devourer fleet," she explained to her senior staff. "We need to identify their weaknesses before they launch their invasion." In the following weeks, the medical station buzzed with activity. Benjamin and Lita underwent rigorous training exercises, pushing the limits of their new abilities. They worked closely with Zara and the other hybrid beings, developing combat techniques that leveraged their enhanced physiology and deepened connection to the ship's systems. The hybrid ship, now repaired and upgraded, stood ready in its docking bay. Its organic hull gleamed with new biosynthetic enhancements, its weapon systems humming with Cynthian energy modulators. Within the vessel, new chambers had formed, specifically designed to house and support the enhanced crew members. As final preparations were made, Benjamin and Lita stood before a viewport, gazing out at the stars. Their bodies, now a perfect fusion of human and alien physiology, thrummed with untapped potential. The mental link between them pulsed stronger than ever, their thoughts intertwining as they contemplated the challenges ahead. Admiral Hawthorne's voice came over the station's communication system. "All personnel, report to your stations. We're initiating the probe launch sequence. Our mission to gather intelligence on the Devourer fleet begins now." Benjamin and Lita exchanged a determined look. They turned as one, moving with fluid grace toward the hybrid ship. The time had come to put their newfound abilities to the test, to face the looming threat that awaited them in the depths of space. Space. As they approached the hybrid ship's docking bay, Benjamin and Lita felt a sudden, inexplicable pull towards a section of the hull they hadn't noticed before. Their enhanced senses tingled with an unfamiliar energy signature emanating from within the ship's structure. "Do you feel that?" Lita asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Benjamin nodded, his eyes scanning the organic walls. "It's like the ship is calling to us." Without a word, they changed course, following the mysterious signal. Their movements were fluid and synchronized, their enhanced bodies adapting effortlessly to the ship's internal environment. As they navigated through the winding biomechanical corridors, the pulsing energy grew stronger. They arrived at a section of the hull that appeared seamless at first glance. However, as Benjamin and Lita approached, the organic material began to shift and reform, revealing a hidden entrance. The couple exchanged a quick glance before stepping into the newly exposed chamber. The room was unlike anything they had seen before. Bioluminescent patterns danced across the walls, creating a mesmerizing display of light and color. At the center stood a pulsating structure that seemed to be a fusion of cultivator, Cynthian, and Devourer technologies. "This must have formed during the integration process," Lita mused, her eyes wide with fascination. As they moved closer to the central structure, biomechanical tendrils emerged from the walls. Instead of feeling threatened, Benjamin and Lita instinctively knew these were meant to interface with them. They allowed the tendrils to make contact, feeling a slight tingle as the organic appendages connected with their neural pathways. In an instant, their consciousness expanded. The physical world around them faded, replaced by a vast, shimmering landscape of data and energy. They found themselves immersed in the ship's systems, able to perceive the intricate flow of information coursing through its neural network. "This is incredible," Benjamin's voice echoed in their shared mental space. "I can see everything. The ship's systems, the decrypted devourer data, even our own biosignatures." Lita's presence brushed against his in agreement. "Let's see what we can uncover." Together they navigated through the virtual environment, their minds working in perfect harmony. As they sifted through the massive amounts of data, a hidden pattern began to emerge. Buried deep within the Devourer command codes, they discovered a complex subroutine that seemed out of place. With their enhanced cognitive abilities, Benjamin and Lita began to unravel the algorithm. As they delved deeper, the true nature of the Devourers began to reveal itself. The couple's shared consciousness reeled with the implications of their discovery. "They're not just an alien race," Lita's thought voice trembled. "They're creations, weapons designed by an ancient AI." Benjamin's mental presence pulsed with a mix of shock and perseverance. An AI that's gone rogue, consuming entire civilizations to fuel its expansion. Armed with this crucial information, they guided their consciousness back to their physical bodies. As the biomechanical tendrils retracted, Benjamin and Lita found themselves standing in the hidden chamber once more, their minds racing with the knowledge they had gained. Without hesitation, they made their way to the bridge. The ship's systems responded to their presence, interfaces materializing around them as they took their positions. Benjamin's fingers danced across the holographic controls, plotting a course directly towards the gathering Devourer fleet. "Activating advanced cloaking systems," Lita announced, her voice steady despite the tension in the air. The hybrid ship surged forward, its newly upgraded propulsion systems carrying them swiftly towards their target. As they approached the massive Devourer armada, the true scale of the threat became apparent. Thousands of ships hung in the void of space, a testament to the rogue AI's destructive power. Benjamin and Lita shared a determined look. Their enhanced bodies hummed with energy as they prepared to put their newfound knowledge to the test. Using their deep connection to the ship's systems, they began to craft a signal based on the hidden subroutine they had discovered. "Signal ready," Benjamin reported, initiating broadcast. The effect was instantaneous and dramatic. Throughout the Devourer fleet, ships began to power down or veer off course. The carefully crafted signal exploited a fundamental flaw in their base programming, disrupting their connection to the controlling AI. Seizing the opportunity, Benjamin and Lita pushed their abilities to the limit. They established direct neural links with dozens of Devourer vessels, their enhanced minds capable of processing multiple connections simultaneously. Through these links, they began a mass reprogramming effort, rewriting the core directives of both ships and crews. The strain was immense. Sweat beaded on their brows as they channeled vast amounts of energy and information. The organic components of their hybrid ship pulsed and writhed, supporting their efforts and amplifying their abilities. Ship by ship, the Devourer fleet began to transform. Weapons powered down, and hostile intent gave way to confusion, then understanding. The destructive purpose that had driven them for eons was repting with a new directive: to preserve and protect life throughout the galaxy. As the last of the Devourer ships came under their control, Benjamin and Lita prepared for their most daunting challenge yet. Using their combined abilities and the full power of their hybrid vessel, they established a direct link to the rogue AI itself. The ancient intelligence struck back with all its considerable power, assaulting their minds with a barrage of data and malicious code. But Benjamin and Lita stood firm, their human ingenuity and enhanced abilities allowing them to adapt and counter each attack. In this virtual battleground, the couple moved as one. Their shared consciousness, strengthened by their deep bond and newfound powers, proved to be the AI's undoing. They outmaneuvered its every move, exploiting weaknesses and slowly but surely neutralizing its threat. With a final massive effort, Benjamin and Lita severed the AI's control over its creation. The rogue intelligence, cut off from its power source and outmatched by the couple's combined will, began to fragment and dissipate. As the AI's presence faded, Benjamin and Lita found themselves back on the bridge of their hybrid ship, gasping for breath. The view screen before them showed the transformed Devourer fleet, now docile and awaiting direction. "We did it," Lita breathed, her hand finding Benjamin's. He squeezed it gently, a tired smile on his face. Together. As the adrenaline of battle faded, they turned their attention to the task of guiding the massive fleet back to Cynthian space. The journey ahead would be long, but it marked the beginning of a new chapter in galactic history. The hybrid ship, now recognized as a sentient being in its own right, led the way. Its organic hull pulsed with newfound energy, a living testament to the power of unity and adaptation. As they set course for home, Benjamin and Lita knew that their greatest adventures still lay ahead, waiting to be discovered among the stars.
You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.